much in love, they can't see the error of their ways. Blinded by the supernatural haze, secrets some have taken to the grave. That's the game the devil plays. Dreams, visions, sent you on a mission from on high. Who's the zombie now? Everything you ever had is gone. Everything you thought was right is wrong. Broken hearts are left to carry on. Now you're both where you belong. Dreams, visions, it's a new religion of the lie. We're too young to die. Mommy and the zombie killers. World is ended come July. In love, they can't see the folly of their ways. Burning with a dark infernal blaze. Doctrine that will put you in the grave. Let the demons out to play. Dreams, visions, giving you permission, taking life. And the zombie killers, world is ending come July. We're too young to die. Mommy and the zombie killers, it's all over come July. Who's the zombie now?
Well, that abruptly ended. The heck. Anyways, hey guys, how are y'all doing today? I am here on time. I'm here on time. I don't know why that ended. That was weird. I'm like, okay, let me hurry and get back over there. And yeah, I mowed grass today, or I did some stuff at home that, yeah. Okay, so let me jump into this real quick. I found this earlier. I mean, it's been there, but I read it and I was like, holy crap. So I want to share it, of course. So just hang tight there for a second while I grab it. Hope y'all are doing okay today. Happy Sunday. This is the last eve of trial ever. Hopefully, allegedly, who knows? Where the hell is it? Okay. Let me try this again. Oh, there it is. I'm on it. I'm actually on it. Okay, so we're going to close that. And just got to show you, right? So what this is, this is from the custody battle between Melanie Boudreaux and Brandon Boudreaux. And this is from November 16th, 2020. So this is, Tylee and JJ were found unearthed from Chad Daybell's property on June 9th, 2020. And that Brandon volunteered to identify JJ, and he got married the same weekend. He also, I want to say, he identified the necklace that Tylee was wearing, the Aveda. I think it's Aveda. I think that's what it's called. Costa La Vida. I don't know. I forget what it's called right this moment. But the necklace that she was wearing, and something to do with comparing it to social media posts with Tylee wearing it. So, I was like, okay, so you're about to tell. Let's just read it. So there's only 9 pages of it. So it starts at page 10 and it goes to page 19. So, and it looks just like this the whole way down. Okay, so it's a lot. So let me take a drink. Buckle up. Okay, to recap some of the facts in this matter, Mother joined her aunt and uncles, Lori Vallow Daybell, Chad Daybell's listed as an uncle, and Alex Cox in October 2019 in Rexburg, Idaho, where they began the formation of their cult-like dark religious belief group. Mother abandoned her children and her life in Arizona to join the cult and refused to reveal her address to Father. Mother failed to appear for the emergency hearing that was held in this matter in December 2019, even though she had been served and was well aware of the hearing by not only her current husband's account, so Ian, but also by her own admissions to a mutual friend of hers and Father's in November 2019, wherein Mother tells the friend that, quote, "I've seen this stuff in court. I've prayed about it, and the Lord is like, but if you do nothing, then it'll work out better," unquote. The members of the cult that Mother is associated with, and possibly Mother herself, have caused significant harm to others. Here we go. I.e., attempted to murder Father, violently murdering Mother's cousin, Tylee. I had to read that a couple times. And dismembering her and burning her body, violently murdering Mother's cousin JJ and disposing of him like garbage, violently murdering Mother's aunts, so Melanie's aunt's late husband, Charles Vallow, and possibly murdering, this threw me, at least 2 other individuals. I was like, Tammy? Joe? I mean, that's only 2. I'm like sitting here doing all the things, All right, so whatever. This is what Brandon is saying. This is their recap for their custody case. Okay. That threw me off. All right. And it says, violently murdering Mother's aunt's late husband, Charles Vallow, and possibly murdering at least 2 other individuals, which murders remain under investigation. Further, the beliefs of Mother, her current husband, the beliefs of the mother, Melanie, and her current husband, and other members of the cult's dark religious group are that once a person becomes a zombie, the only way for their soul to be freed is for them to die. Father's witness, this was Melanie Gibb, will testify that Mother has told her that 2 of the party's children and Father are zombies. I wish Melanie Gibb was going to be on that stand. Mother is clearly suffering from some form of mental health issues, and those issues and her current beliefs place the children in harm's way. Mother, through her counsel, during an evidentiary hearing held in this matter in June 2020, admits that she was attempting to show, quote, Father's religious beliefs, if not accompanied by conduct harmful to the children, do not make Father a danger to the children any more than Mother's beliefs make her a danger to the children. She's trying to equate hers. Unquote. It is unfathomable to believe that Mother feels her dark religious beliefs do not place the children in harm's way. In fact, 2 children, Charles Vallow and believably Tammy Daybell, were all murdered by members of this sinister religious group after rumblings had been heard that they had turned to quote-unquote zombies. Clearly, Mother's beliefs place the children's lives at significant risk of harm. A lot of these are run-on sentences. Following Mother's move to Rexburg, Idaho, Mother lived next door to her aunt, Lori Vallow Daybell, and only a few doors away from her uncle, Alex. At no time did Mother ever express any level of concern over the missing children, Tylee Ryan and J.J. Vallow, both of whom have now been confirmed to have been murdered in September 2019. Mother repeatedly made statements through her multiple media interviews that her aunt, Lori Vallow Daybell, was a loving mother who was protecting her children due to threats, and that her aunt was like a quote-unquote mother to her, and that she loved her and she was the best mother she ever knew, and that she would never harm her children. Mother has also stuck, this is interesting, Mother has also stuck by her maternal grandmother's side, even using her as a quote-unquote collateral witness in the psychological evaluation process with Dr. Mellon. This is the very grandmother that lied to law enforcement. I've just pulled this up today before I read this. Okay, so this is the very grandmother that lied to law enforcement about speaking with J.J. Vallow, the murdered child, in October 2019. October 1st is when she said, he was like, "Hey, Mimi," because he knows me, is what she said. Well, no shit, he knows you. You're his grandmother, allegedly. Yeah, this one we're going to be ragging on the Coxman. Actually, we're not going to rag on them. We're just going to say the truth. Anyways, Mother, through her testimony and pleadings in this matter, has doubled down on her dark religious views. Mother has simply taken the stance to make a mockery out of the LDS faith, to try and show Father's beliefs in a bad light, to make as many defamatory statements relating to Father as she can, to try and show Father as a bad person and accusing him of being gay. I love this. As though being gay would be a horrible thing to be. Anyways. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Father questions whether Mother would simply discharge one of the party's children if they were to grow up being part of the LGBTQ community. Father firmly asserts he has presented substantial evidence throughout this matter to support his accusations against Mother in this matter, and that he is not falsely accusing Mother of acts that he does not believe are true. Mother states in filings with this court that, quote, Mother's decision to move to Idaho was based on a decision to be closer to her family. She needed the support of family because Father has deceptively removed the children from her custody and kept them from her custody with continued deception and falsehoods. Mother's decision to relocate to Idaho was not to join or to be closer to any speculative cult or its alleged members. She moved to Idaho to be closer to her family, who loved and supported her without judgment. She moved to Idaho as it placed her several hundred miles closer to her, this is all sarcasm, to her children who were located in American Fork, Utah. There is absolutely no evidence of Mother's involvement in any type of religious cult, unquote. See Mother's reply to Father's response to Mother's motion to hold petition in contempt for his misleading and false statement made to the court. That's so confusing. Father asserts that Mother's statements are patently untrue as to the statements surrounding Father and the children, as Mother intended to move to Idaho long before Father began the modification process in this matter. Mother, by her own beliefs, moved to Idaho to be closer to her family, who loved and supported her. Mother lied to Father about moving to Boise, Idaho. Mother told Ian Pawlowski, based on Mr. Pawlowski's own admissions, not to tell his ex-wife what Mother's last name was because she did not want Father to know where she was living. Mother lied to this court when she told the court that she was not properly served and did not know about the emergency hearing. We read this the last time we were live. Hers. Okay, it says Mother has filed false and defamatory press releases against Father. Mother has told all sorts of mistruths and continues to do so. Now that Mother's family, who loves her, is either dead or incarcerated, Mother is proclaiming to not hold the same beliefs as those family members. Father points out that these are the very same family members who she professes to have moved closer to for love and support, and because they did not judge her. These are the same family members that she defended adamantly during her multiple media interviews. These are the same family members that she left her children behind for the same family members who have involvement into the attempt on Father's life. Upon review of Mother's quote-unquote redacted financial records produced pursuant to discovery, and this is interesting, Mother has blown through far more than $100,000 since July of 2019. On top of this, there appears to be nearly $70,000 missing from Mother's financials of the monies that Mother was awarded at the time of the dissolution in this matter. Mother's movement of monies from one account to another over and over is also curious at best, and appears to be occurring due to some type of paranoia on Mother's part. Based upon conversations that Father has had with the FBI, Father believes that Mother has or had been financially funding Alex Cox and others associated with religious cult. Where's the lemma, right? Father is aware that the FBI is currently investigating the finances of various members of Mother's family. I was like, well, they've been looking in berries. But I mean, this was, of course, in 2020, November. Okay, so Mother has made numerous accusations against Father through testimony, pleadings, and press releases. Said accusations accuse Father, in part, of being gay and struggling with sexuality, and of having a family heavily involved in all sorts of sinister acts. Them damn gaddy aunt robbers. First, Mother's accusations relating to Father being gay are untrue and unfounded. Those statements are highly inappropriate as they reflect that Father is gay, and because of this, he somehow has mental issues. Even if Father were gay, he would not be classified as having mental health issues. Father does not consider being gay a mental health issue, as Mother has alluded to it being. Burn. Oh, I love it when it's just truth right upside their head. Okay. Father also asserts that if he were gay, he knows that he would not be ousted from the church. They put Church of Latter-day Saints, not Church of Jesus Christ, Latter-day Saints. As Mother has alluded that Father is concerned with coming out for fear of being ousted from the church. Further, Mother has presented no credible evidence, testimony, or facts supporting her accusations relating to the sinister acts of Father's family. In fact, Father has a pending defamation case, spoiler alert, $12 million awarded to Brandon Boudreaux, not Melanie. Okay, so it says, okay, I'll read that. In fact, Father has a pending defamation case against two of Mother's attorneys for the defamatory press releases that were released relating to Father. Mother's media interviews throughout this litigation are filled with conflicting statements from one interview to the next. Mother's online quote-unquote heartfelt post regarding the missing children and later about their deaths are filled with remarks that are hard to describe and even harder to understand why she would feel righteous in making. Mother's Facebook post dated June 17th, 2020 makes remarks such as, get ready to get pissed off all over again, quote, if you knew Tylee, she would probably be giving the biggest eye roll at all the drama unfolding in the media. To anyone using this terrible situation to express their hate and blame on others, she would probably tell you off because she was the sassiest thing ever and wasn't afraid to say how she felt, unquote. Father asserts that it is highly unlikely, I love this, that Tylee would be rolling her eyes or telling anyone off. Tylee was murdered and dismembered and disposed of like garbage at a home and in a yard where mother, her Aunt Lori Vallow Daybell, her uncle Chad Daybell, and her uncle Alex Cox spent time. Mother's remarks are careless and daunting all at the same time. Mother's post goes on to state, quote, I truly wish she could go on live television and tell her story, rather than anyone else who has and will in the future. Just know the stakes are set high from that girl, with a smiley face, unquote. Quote, I know I could never measure up in that regard, as we've all seen. I'm horrible on live television, and I would rather not do it ever again, or to have to, she writes backwards, or to have to talk publicly about the trauma my family has gone through. Here we go, trauma, huh? I was always so impressed with Tylee's ability to express herself and communicate well. I wish she was here to clear up all the confusion for us. She would do it better than any of the rest of us could, unquote. What story does Mother wish Tylee could tell? Does she wish Tylee could tell the story of how the cult felt she and JJ had turned into zombies and killed them, dismembered her, and disposed of both children like they were nothing? Or does she wish Tylee could tell how Uncle Alex Cox murdered her stepfather Charles Vallow, or how he tried to murder father in this matter, or how he assisted in the plot to kill Tammy Daybell, or how the rest of the doomsday hold on, right here. Or how the rest of the doomsdayers were all involved with the murders and attempted murder? I was like, right? Mother could simply clear everything up. However, like she chose to not come to the hearing on December 11, 2019 to defend against father's accusations, she has also chosen to claim ignorance as to having any knowledge relating to any information that would or could be of use to law enforcement relating to the ongoing numerous investigations surrounding everyone involved with the cult. Father has shared and continues to share with this court solid evidence, including witness accounts, which points directly at Mother having knowledge of the felonious acts. On or about June 5th, 2020, Ian Pawlowski and Natalie Pawlowski appeared for a hearing on Natalie Pawlowski's petition for order of protection, which listed their minor children as protected parties. Following the hearing, the 7th Judicial District Madison County Court judge, it's a mouthful, found that reasonable grounds existed to enter a renewed protection order, domestic violence, allowing Ian Pawlowski to only have supervised parenting time and contact with his children. Since entry of this renewed protection order, Mr. Pawlowski had no contact with his children until after father pointed that fact out to this court, and then Mr. Pawlowski began exercising. Wow. That's whenever Ian started exercising supervised visitation with his own children. Interesting. So this should be a giant, quote, red flag, unquote, for this court, as dismissing father's pending modification and returning the parties to the orders as set forth in their consent decree would place the parties' children hereto in the direct custody of Mr. Pawlowski, an individual who has only been afforded supervised visits with his biological children. Melanie Gibb has told father of the conversation she had with mother, wherein mother told Ms. Gibb that 2 of the parties' children were zombies. Ms. Gibb has also told father that mother revealed that father had gone from being dark to a zombie, and that he was part of Hitler's tight group of friends during Hitler's life. The belief of the members of the cult are that once a person becomes a zombie, the only way for their soul to be freed is for them to die. Father asserts that he has no current knowledge as to mother's continued involvement in the religious cult-like group she and her family are a part of. However, he does believe that the group remains active and that the remaining members are being extremely cautious in an attempt to avoid any further investigations by law enforcement. Yes, they are. Father has presented significant and substantial persuasive evidence to this court which contradicts Mother's denial of having anything to do with the attempted murder of Father, her denial of being involved with the radical religious cult-like group, her denial of having any knowledge relating to the Tylee Ryan and J.J. Vallow's murders, and her denial of having any knowledge relating to any number of the other deaths and criminal acts by those family members who loved and support her without judgment, the ones she moved to be near in, let me not mess it up, the ones she moved to be near in Rexburg, Idaho. Again, the attempt on Father's life occurred after he had dropped 2 of the children off at school and the other 2 off with Mother. Further, only Melanie knew Father's new address, the very address where Mother's uncle Alex attempted to kill Father. Father had only lived at the address where he was shot at for 1 week. In addition, there will be evidence, the evidence will show, presented relating to Mother's excitement over her Aunt Lori telling her that Father had to die. I'm like, ooh, right? I want to see that evidence. I want to hear it. Oh my God. Finally, Mother's actions of marrying her current husband. See, she threw shade at him in that last motion that I read Friday. And she was like, basically, he's just jealous because Mother moved on. But I mean, she was just circling the drain. And by extension, her lawyers were, the same crappy ones. Finally, Mother's actions of marrying her current husband only 2 weeks after they first met seemed to further speak to Mother's mental health issues. Mother proclaims to be a lifelong member of the LDS Church. However, the church's beliefs are not to marry someone you have only known for 2 weeks. Well, the church believes that marriage is very sacred and that when you marry someone, you must know each other. You must know each other well as you are as you are being sealed to that person for eternity in the temple, and that you are making a covenant with God and your spouse. Mother's actions of marrying someone she only knew for 2 weeks was like making a mockery out of the sacredness of marriage sealing. Mother has told maternal grandfather Barry that, quote, her children will know the truth, unquote. It is extremely concerning to Father that Mother will attempt to brainwash the party's children into believing the beliefs that Mother, Lori Vallow Daybell, and the rest of Mother's extended family believe. I'm going to apply that to the Cox family too. These beliefs are so dark and sinister that it frightens Father to the very bottom of his soul as to what Mother may attempt to do with the party's children. Father's fear for the safety and well-being of his children is not unfounded. Mother talks about speaking to God directly prior to the emergency hearing, and that he told her not to do anything. As that was best, since courts only want evidence and they don't want the truth. Ew. I kind of jacked that up, but it's kind of hard to read. Mother statements as to what, quote unquote, God told her conflict with the church's doctrine. The church teaches that children are the most important social unit of all time, and that parents are to raise and nurture their children and put them first above all else aside from God. Father believes that Mother is in need of intense psychotherapy to address her involvement and beliefs surrounding the religious cult-like group she and her family are closely tied to and involved with. Mother's actions throughout the course of this litigation are unnerving and reflect the desperate need for Mother to receive treatment and evaluation as to her mental state. Holy shit. I mean, I might have read this a long time ago, but don't remember this. Okay? Don't remember this. So what the hell? I mean, I don't know. I needed to hear it. I needed to hear it from Brandon. And it just, according to this, Melanie is a effing liar. Like I suspect. You know, that's just me. Anyway, so I wanted to share that with you guys because that's just crazy. Thank you, Beach Bum. These BS beliefs should frighten everyone. Cherish children. Yeah. Yep. And if you feel something, if your gut feeling is telling you, just, do what you can. Do whatever you have to do. Okay. It is nuts, huh? Thank you again, Beach Bum. Yeah. I like how he took everything that she said and then threw it back in her face. And I hope she probably does not feel any shame. Probably not. She'll just lie like she does. Like I think she does. But again, that's just me. So anyways, how are y'all doing? Yeah. I put a lawnmower together today and started cutting grass. And then I'm not even going to lie to you. I was like, I was dying. So yeah. Anyways, but I at least got it together and it's ready. I got gas in it, put the oil in it, all the things. And Jason said hi, everybody. So, all right. So the hooker, is she going to play hooky? Is the hooker going to play hooky? There you go. There's a new one. Is the hooker going to play the hooky? Right. Yeah, I can. I can if I have to. I don't like to though. But if I have to, I can. Yes. On the truth teller side, cycle breakers unite. Carolina, hey, many followers who believe he's been wrongfully convicted and he's their prophet. If he gets the firing squad, he'll be considered a martyr. Like Joseph Smith, I can't make this shit up. Serious. No, I know. I've already mentioned that before. Because yeah, that's what they do in Utah is the firing squad. And I was like, well, great. Just in time for Koberger and Daybell. But I don't know. And I'll have to look into that if you'll remind me. Not today, but in the future about, I don't know if it's grandfathered in, if Chad will be grandfathered in. I don't know if it goes according to the date he was convicted or when the actual law passed. There's always loopholes and they find them. Oh, thank you, Lamisa. Thank you. You got your dark pepper? All right. It's a little doing some, yeah. Well, probably because I'm parting it the wrong way. Look, whoa. I look like Something About Mary, right? Remember Something About Mary? I actually have a screenshot of, well, it's just a meme or something, but somebody photoshopped Tim Ballard's face and Something About Mary, anyways. No, Lori won't miss her last time in the spotlight. I can't see that happening. I know. And I mean, I just want everybody to like chill out. There can be a bit of like a, what do you call that? Hysteria. I mean, if she is sick, if all that stuff, and Judge Bresky is not allowed, to stay on the case because he's got, other, I'll just call it a calling because of lack for a better word. He's going to a new role, so to speak, a new job, I guess, or hire somewhere else. He's going somewhere else. And so, I mean, either way, it doesn't matter if it's Judge Bereski or if it's Judge Judy. Okay. It doesn't matter it's still going to happen. She can't, even if she's playing hooky, if the hooker is playing hooky, I mean, she can only do it so long. I mean, no matter what, she's not going to postpone. She's going to get hers is what I'm saying. So, right. Okay. So we get to spend a little more time together. No, I mean, it is what it is. And there's nothing that we can do. Us bitching, griping, worrying, it just feeds into their crap. they like the chaos. They feed off of chaos. People like Lori feed off of chaos. And I mean, I remember hearing Cheryl talk about this, Uncle Charles's ex-wife, how she said that she viewed Lori like Lori loved being in the courtroom. She loved the drama. She loved engaging in it's lawfare is what it is, and it's exploitation. And if we were talking about ice cream cones and that was a system, she would be exploiting that too. She exploits everything. It's what she does, So yes, it would though, by the way, right? Can you imagine? Oh, she would have her hemmed up in no time. Yeah, I saw this earlier, and we have me and my mods, we have a text thread that we talk to each other, and yeah, that's what she said. She talked to her lady friend who is a judge in Arizona as well, and yep, and no judge in that courthouse wants her case. I don't blame them, but it is what it is. Are you done? You see it right there, right? Wait, I can't get it. Somewhere over there. This hooker over here in the corner, working her corner like she does. If I had to guess, he will face a firing squad. If not, I would love it. Would he be using electric chair on the old timers, because that's what they had when they came in 40 years ago? Are you serious? I mean, they don't do, it's in Idaho. So it's not going to be in, are you talking about Arizona or Idaho? Because Idaho is where, yeah, Chad didn't even come to Arizona, unfortunately, right? I mean, I'm at the point now where it's like, okay, since Lori was found guilty for conspiring to murder my uncle, it's like, okay, now can we go to Melanie Boudreaux? Can we go now to Melanie Gibbons-Alema? Can we trickle the charges down? I'm not asking for first degree. I'm asking for something that I believe can be proven in a court of law easily. I mean, with all this circumstantial evidence with Lori, it just seems like you would be able to RICO this sucker, I'm going to do a RICO civil case, federal, civil, like for all the ones who, aren't showing up, who have not told the truth, any of the truth, really. They've done a whole lot of omission and CYA covering their own heinies. And sometimes you have to hit people in the pocket, because that's the only thing they care about. That's what they worship. They worship money, and that's their God, I believe. So I don't know. That's my plans, at least. So y'all don't give up on the judicial system just yet, for sure. And I mean, I know that we're going to win again. I know that she is going to be found guilty in this case as well. I mean, and I would love to see for her only living victim, Brandon Boudreaux, to get the justice that he deserves. I really do. I always think about how my Uncle Charles was so chivalrous and, just like ladies first, women and children, and that Brandon has been so humble and quiet, kind of just, if he makes his little, appearance, he's testified in Lori's trials in Idaho. And I mean, he showed up at the courthouse for Uncle Charles's last time. She tried to get him kicked out, and the judge was like, no. And I mean, she tries to throw her weight, which, I mean, you just have to expect that, right? The expectation's really low, right? And I just am so taken back by how chivalrous, how humble Brandon has been, I mean, like, he's just been like, take care of everybody else, and I'll be here. He's anyways, has positive words to share. And I really do admire that about Brandon. So, yeah, you can, Jennifer. You can see why Charles and Brandon were friends. Yeah. Rowan says, I think Melanie Boudreaux might have a personality close to Lori's. That's what I imagine when I watch her on the cop body cam. Absolutely. Absolutely. I will not be. Mom actually left today, so she's somewhere around there. But I'm going to go to the sentencing for sure. It's like 30. I don't know. I have to go back or I have to go read more about that and find out more about. I don't know if they're going to do the sentencings together, or I'm sure that's what I was thinking the whole time, but that I don't want to think because that's usually when I'm wrong or something. So I just want to make sure, and we'll take it from there. I know not everybody follows the Dan Markel case, but nobody thought they'd ever get Donna Adelson, and she is now jailed awaiting trial, and apparently her husband is going to be cooked soon too. Oh my God. That is a wild case too, and a very similar. I mean, you can watch that case. I didn't really get to keep up with it. I wasn't into true crime at all before the family, before the murders began in my own family. And so, and it was going on at the same time as other ones. I didn't know. I heard about it, but I didn't know who they were. But I have, caught things where I can and when I can. And it's the same damn thing pretty much, just people trying to control other people. And instead of just doing fair custody agreements, not battles, but people just want to control, and they just, I don't know. It's like divorce is not an option, or maybe it is, but custody disputes are not. They're out of the question. And I think that sucks. I think that's a really narcissistic people. And it's really freaky. And Wendy Adelson reminds me a lot of Melanie, except she doesn't talk as much in word salad as least to my little minimal layman knowledge. Hey, girl. I'm so glad to see you. It's always good to see you, Jeannie Marie. I am glad. Yep. Keep the faith that something may happen to Melanie P. legally after Brandon's trial. Law enforcement may have been working at it for years. It just, I hope so. I really do hope so. It just seems like the further away they get from when all this stuff happened in 2019, it seems like, well, what's the point? Yeah. But I understand how these are very complex. There's a lot of moving parts, and this is sometimes how it happens. And I also understand that they tend to go after the big fish, so to speak. And I'm not really a fan of that. I'm all about, it's a conspiracy, and there's a lot of people conspiring. A lot of people allowed this to go as far as it did. It's like everybody just had blinders on and or were participating. It's like, okay, yeah, people like Lori would share certain information with certain people, but come on now, they're not walled off from freaking just everything. I don't know. It just seems like a lot of willing participants, whether knowingly or not. It just, too many things, too many people looking the other way. It just sucks. Well, hey, SheTube, what's up? Cuddles. Oh, are you a Zalema? Are you Zalema? Are you cuddling? Every day she's cuddling. She said she couldn't get a job. Zalema said she couldn't get a job in Rexburg. I guess everybody's good on cuddles there. Just saying. It seems like an outrageous miscarriage of justice, and I'm holding out barely any hope there is a long game plan for Melanie. I know. That's why I try not to get too ahead of myself, because I don't want to disappoint myself. I know me. And so, I used to do that, and I started having to change the way I, like my expectations of people, So it tends to be a lot less heartache. You missed it. Well, I'm glad you're here, Lori. The only Lori that I'm happy with being in the chat. Glad you're here. Hey, Jet Set Jay. I know. I actually, hold on. Let me go grab my stuff. Let me go grab it. Okay, I had to think. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm like, what the hell is that? All right, let me pull this, what I was working on earlier today. All right. I'm going to go ahead and smoke. Okay. So I'm going to turn my camera off. Hopefully I did not leave my lighter in there. No, I have it in my pocket. If Melanie is called to testify, can she plead the fifth? She probably wished she would have. She probably should have. She should have took some lessons from Ruby Frankie, and she should have just been like, I mean, that was ridiculous. The way that Ruby Frankie, I mean, that was just rude. And I mean, she took it literally verbatim, like, don't take that literal. Besides giving them the crazy eyes, right? All right, I got distracted. I started talking. Oh, I meant to turn my camera off. That's what I came back over here for. All right, let me grab this. Projects. Okay. Okay, open and then go back. And then here's let me just seal so I can see what the hell I'm doing. Okay. Oh, yeah, this one's good too. We'll need to do this one. Let's just go ahead and do that. Get this out the way, and that way we can refresh our minds. That's what I've been working on, is just kind of trying to refamiliarize myself with what's going on. All right, let me do this. And it's just 6 pages from the actual Gilbert Police Department report that was released in the FOIA request. Let me make this larger. Move. I mean, why can't I? Anyways, all right. Okay, so this is, come on. I want to make sure y'all can see it well. I mean, I can make it larger than that. Okay. This says 12/5/2020. Additional information added. Ryan Pillar, he'll be testifying. He's testified in both Arizona and Idaho. He's testified in Idaho for Lori and for Chad in their trials. Okay. This says supplemental report, narrative topic, Gilbert Police investigation continued 10/3. So October 3rd, 2019, this is day after Brandon Boudreaux was shot at, to 10/31/2019, when Melanie and Alex helped Melanie move to Rexburg, right next door to her supportive and loving aunt who was like a mother to her. All right, narrative. The following supplement is a summary of the investigation completed by the Gilbert Police Department from 10/3/2019, the date after the attempted homicide of Brandon Boudreaux, through 10/31/2019, the date when the suspect's Jeep Wrangler appeared in Idaho. I didn't write this, so this is on them. I didn't get this off a website. I got this this is the report. Okay, so it says multiple detectives assisted with interviews, evidence collection, and other tasks throughout the duration of this investigation. Some of that involvement will be referred to and can be reviewed in full within previous supplements. Okay. This supplement will begin with the interview of Melanie Boudreaux on October 3rd, 2019. Following the interview will be a summary of Gilbert Police initial contact with Chandler Police, Fremont County Sheriff's Office, Rexburg Police, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Gilbert Police investigation continued 10/3 to 10/31. After the initial investigation on October 2nd, 2019, I called Melanie Boudreaux and requested she come to the Gilbert Police Department for an interview. Melanie did not inquire about the specifics of the interview, but agreed to meet me on October 3rd at 10:30 hours. Melanie brought her youngest child, that would be Breeze, with her to the interview. The interview was video and audio recorded and later impounded as evidence. Interview with Melanie Boudreaux. Let me take a drag. At the time of my interview with Melanie, it was not clear how much she knew about what happened to Brandon or if she was involved. I began the interview by confirming Melanie's contact and identification information. I asked Melanie about her relationship with Brandon. Melanie explained how they were married for almost 11 years, but were in the final stages of a divorce. I want you to focus on the fact that they were married for almost 11 years and that after 10 years of marriage, whenever a spouse dies, just like with Lori, how she went and obtained Social Security benefits for JJ, Laura, and for Joe with Tylee. Okay. I'm just sure. I just feel like it was the prime time for Melanie to also, not just collect maybe his insurance, but she could have benefited off of Social Security from his death as well, and their 4 children. Just throwing that in there. I haven't seen anywhere where it points to that, but I'm victim's advocate. I mean, come on. Melanie told me she did not work, but received money from the divorce. Melanie confirmed the 50-50 child custody arrangement shared with Brandon now that he had his own residence. Her divorce reasoning. I asked Melanie about the reason Brandon and she filed for divorce. Melanie told me Brandon traveled a lot and started to make bad business deals. Melanie allowed Brandon to make the financial decisions because she was a full-time mother of their 4 children. Melanie told me she also noticed a change in Brandon's behavior. She believed it was a result of stress from work, but did not know for certain. Melanie also found a lot of, quote, gay activity, unquote, surrounding Brandon. She described a video of Brandon dancing with another guy on his phone, as well as, quote, gay pictures, unquote. Melanie did not elaborate further. I asked Melanie if Brandon had a history of homosexual behavior. Melanie said no. Melanie told me anytime she confronted Brandon about the issue, he became defensive. Let me finish this cigarette here. Let's see. She believed Brandon. Oh, this is funny. Melanie told me she suspected Brandon used illegal drugs as well. She believed Brandon used ecstasy because it was a gay drug. Melanie did not have evidence or experiences to substantiate her suspicions, but said Brandon wore sunglasses a lot, acted more confident, and lost a lot of weight recently. Melanie confronted Brandon about her suspicions in June 2019 while on a family trip. Brandon was adamant he was not homosexual or used drugs. Brandon told Melanie she was crazy and suggested she seek a mental evaluation. Melanie told me she knew she was not crazy and knew the truth. As a result of Melanie's suspicions, she primarily communicated with Brandon via text message and maintained as little contact as possible. Brandon and Melanie filed for divorce in July of 2019. Melanie told me since their divorce, Brandon had turned church members and her own family against her. Melanie said a lot of people believed what Brandon said about her, and she learned to stay independent. Doesn't make any sense. The people she now primarily talked with was her grandmother, Janice Cox, and Aunt Lori Vallow. Finances. I asked Melanie to explain the finances Brandon and she shared. That's not written right. Melanie told me Brandon had always made decent money since they had been together. Brandon owned several different companies over the years and shared responsibilities with business partners and friends. As a result of their divorce, Melanie was paid out, redacted, by one of Brandon's business partners, Chris Pierce. Melanie also received another, that is a big redaction right there, from Avantgarde Insurance, Brandon's previous company. Melanie went on to tell me that Brandon also paid her, redacted, monthly for child support. I think the other day when I read it, it said something along the lines of $27.50 or something around that. Melanie told me she was not concerned about money despite not being employed. Melanie confirmed she was also on Brandon's life insurance for approximately, redacted. Melanie was supposed to get herself life insurance with Brandon as the beneficiary per their divorce mediation, but had yet to do so. A little paranoid, huh? 10/2. So this is October 2nd, 2019. This is the day Brandon was shot at. I asked Melanie, this is her recollection. I asked Melanie to tell me about her day yesterday, 10/2. Melanie told me Brandon dropped off, redacted, their daughter, at her house in the morning. Melanie could not remember what she did after she took custody of Breeze. Melanie told me sometimes they went to the park, which is right across the street, we looked that up the last time I was live with Joe. I think it was Thursday. We watched the body cam footage. There's a park across from her house where she was walking her dog, and that's the same park that they're talking about. Okay. Melanie could not remember for certain what they did yesterday. Oh, wait, I skipped a part. What she did, took custody of Bree. Okay, Melanie told me sometimes they went to the park, sometimes the gym, and other times the mall. Melanie, that's just what they do normally, right? Oh my gosh. Melanie could not remember for certain what they did yesterday. Melanie said she remembered ordering groceries online, then made dinner and went to bed. I asked if she communicated with anyone. Melanie told me she received multiple phone calls from Brandon, which was not normal. Brandon sent a message to Melanie explaining that he had a bad day and wanted to check on their children. Melanie did not reply until today at 06:52 hours and messaged that the children were okay and that she hoped Brandon had a better day. Otherwise, Melanie could not remember if she talked with anyone else. I told Melanie that someone tried to shoot Brandon yesterday. Melanie did not have a change of expression and stayed quiet, or some could say nonchalant. It must run in the family. I asked if she knew anyone who would want to hurt or kill Brandon. Melanie told me Brandon had a lot of friends and spent time with people she did not know. Melanie then told me Brandon also had a history of doing business with her uncle, Charles Vallow. Melanie told me about an open investigation by Chandler police that involved Charles and her Aunt Lori. Melanie said Charles went to Lori's house and was threatening to hit her uncle, Alex Cox, with a baseball bat. Charles then tried to hit Melanie's younger cousin, Kylie, with the bat. As a result, Alex pulled out a gun and then shot and killed Charles. Melanie said the homicide, she called it a homicide, I guess, was justified as self-defense. Delusions. Boy. Charles and Brandon used to communicate regularly. I mean, I wonder if that's before she blocked Charles's phone number from Brandon's phone or what. What a bitch. Anyways, Melanie tried to tell Brandon not to talk to with Charles because Charles cheated on Lori. Since Charles's death, Brandon tried to tell Melanie that Charles was murdered by Alex, not in self-defense. Melanie felt Brandon was trying to put a wedge between her and her family. Right? Yeah. Alex and Lori. Melanie explained how Lori was someone she could trust and felt very close to. Per my request, Melanie provided me with the identification information for Alex, Lori, and Tylee. Melanie was unsure if Lori, Alex, and Tylee lived together. Melanie believed Tylee was, quote, in college or something, unquote, but did not know where. Interview conclusion. Melanie denied knowing the specific location for Lori or Alex. She told me the last time she saw either of them was approximately 2 weeks ago before Lori moved. Now, I want you to know that, so 2 weeks ago from October, that would be mid-September, she was there. She took Allegiant Flight 608. I'm just telling you this off the top of my head. Allegiant Flight 608 from wherever, Arizona to Idaho. She stayed there from September 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, and she returned on the 29th. Brandon was shot at. There's September 30th, October 1st, and then there's October 2nd when Brandon was shot at. So you do the math. Okay. So that's a fib. Let's see. Approximately 2 weeks ago before Lori moved. So Lori moved September 1st. And so that is a lie. I keep losing my spot. Okay. Melanie said Lori had an autistic son who was with her and was unsure what school she wanted him to go to. That's interesting. I mean, he was in school, and that's a lie. If you think about the time frame. I asked for any viable phone numbers, addresses, or contact information. Now, mind you, Melanie just went there September 26th, 27th, 28th, returned on 29th. She was just there. She knew exactly where the hell they lived. Okay. Melanie said she would not. Okay, hold on. Or contact information that could help me reach them. Melanie said she would not give that type of information because she was told that people could track phones and use listening devices to gather information. She's a lot of fries short of a Happy Meal. Okay. It's an unhappy meal. Melanie said Lori had to do her own thing. Melanie said Lori had to do her own thing while Melanie, figured out her divorce with Brandon. At the conclusion of the interview, Melanie asked if Brandon was okay. I told her that he was alive. Melanie did not have any further information for me, and we ended the interview. End of interview. Continued investigation, 10-4 to 10-31. The following summary will be separated by the dates of importance as it relates to what was learned and tasks completed by Gilbert police detectives between 10-4-2019 and 10-31-2019. After my interview with Melanie on 10-4, so this is 10-4, 10-2 was Brandon was shot at. Well, 26th of September, Melanie flew Allegiant Flight 608 from Phoenix to Rexburg. So she was there the 26th, the 27th, 28th, returned on the 29th. Okay. And so here it is. Brandon got shot at on 10-2, which was a Wednesday. 10-3 was a Thursday. 10-4. Now this is a Friday. After my interview with Melanie, suspicions about, The following summary will be separated by days of importance as it relates to what was learned and tasks completed by Gilbert police detectives between 10-4-2019 and 10-31-2019. On 10-4, after my interview with Melanie, suspicions about her involvement increased. Redacted, at both Melanie and Alex Cox's last known addresses. Gilbert police detectives had a meeting with Chandler police detectives Moffett and Coons. We discussed the specifics of the Chandler police investigation for Charles Vallow's homicide. I learned the following individuals were present at the homicide: Charles Vallow, Lori Vallow, Alex Cox, Tylee, and JJ. Alex shot and killed Charles within Lori's residence. As a result of inconsistencies with physical evidence and statements, the investigation was ongoing and the case was not cleared as a justifiable homicide. I also learned that Charles's dark-colored Jeep Wrangler was at the crime scene. Photographs were taken of the Jeep during Chandler's investigation. Per my request, images of the Jeep were later forwarded to me. Upon review, I observed the Jeep Wrangler had a hardtop, 2 doors, stock tires, dark tinted windows, and a wheel affixed to the back of the vehicle. Furthermore, the Jeep had a Texas license plate displayed on the back bumper. Redacted, so that's the license plate number. I was told redacted was the primary, so Tylee was the primary operator of the Jeep prior to and after Charles's homicide. Alex, Lori, redacted, whereabouts were unknown at the time of our meeting. So that would be the children. On 10/10 and 10/11/2019, I drafted search warrants and then sent them to Verizon and T-Mobile for the known phone numbers for Alex, Lori, Melanie. Oh yeah. I hope like hell he got her records. And Tylee, I guess, right? Yeah. I also completed a redacted warrant for the area around Brandon's address. Ping, ping, ping. 10/14/2019. Brandon Boudreaux called me to advise Melanie contacted him and said she would be moving to Boise, Idaho next week, with or without her children or their children. Brandon was taken back by this because Melanie never talked about Boise before, and she would never want to separate from her children. Furthermore, Melanie still had a rental agreement through July 2020 at her Gilbert residence. Brandon said this was extremely unusual behavior for Melanie, especially after the recent shooting. Brandon had custody of his 4 children during our conversation and said he would be seeking legal assistance reference the custodial arrangement considering Melanie's sudden desire to move, which I think is about, we read what Brandon's thoughts were. That was on 11, it was mid-month 11 of November. No, that was 2020. Yeah, hold on, I'm confusing myself. Let's see, because this was 2019. I don't know. On this date, data was also received from Verizon for the information requested on the search warrant. So I never really thought about that. So I think we're going to have some Melanie Boudreaux records. What do y'all think? Let me go over there. I need to check in with y'all anyways. What y'all doing? How you doing? Do y'all think we're going to have some records on that? I know, Connie. Say it for everyone, so maybe they'll hear it. And if not, maybe we'll raise a little hell. We're pot stirrers, remember? We are some damn pot stirrers. We got to stir the pot. Okay, going back over here to read. Okay, so 10/14, did I already say all that? Yep. All right, so 10/15, we're moving to October 15th. Information gathered indicated redacted, previously attended redacted in Gilbert. That would be Tylee. Contact was made with the school resource officer who confirmed redacted disenrolled in August of 2019. Other possible locations were searched for redacted in the Jeep Wrangler, but were met with negative results. Brandon called me to advise me he retained legal counsel and learned he was still legally married after the shot. This is still after the shot. So here we are. 10/2 was freaking 2 weeks ago at this point. So he was still legally married to Melanie. As a result, they had equal custody of their children, and Melanie had the legal right to leave the state with them if she desired. So it's like, you go or I go. He was smart, yeah, on that part. Brandon told me he would not return the children to Melanie as originally scheduled for tomorrow. So 10/16, he's gone, right? So 10/16, and he's staying in touch with the investigator. So he's, letting them know where he is, what he's doing, his plans. I mean, that's a big difference between him and what Melanie's doing. She's lurking, she's sneaking. 10/16/2019, Brandon contacted me to advise that he learned Melanie was still on his financial accounts despite her agreement to remove herself in August of 2019. Brandon had message correspondence with Melanie on October 7th, when she agreed to remove her name from his accounts. As of this date, Melanie was still on Brandon's accounts. As a result, Brandon took his money and he put it into a different financial institution, because thank God. Melanie contacted me for the first time since our initial interview. So here we are. This 10/16, he hadn't talked to her since 13 days ago, according to this, since 10/3. So Melanie told me that she tried to take her children out of school early today and learned Brandon did not take them to school. I denied knowledge, so she must ask. I denied knowledge of Brandon's reasoning and explained the equal custody per their legal marriage. I asked Melanie if anything further developed since our initial interview. Melanie said no. I asked about her desired move to Idaho. Melanie said it was an unplanned location and she wanted a fresh start. That sounds about like her marriage to Ian. We just got young faster than any couple would. Like some kind of love story or something. Like, she romanticizes things, in my opinion. Unplanned. It was an unplanned location and she wanted a fresh start. So not an unplanned move, anyways. Melanie reiterated her belief that Brandon was manipulating and threatening her, just like Lori did with Charles, in attempt to disrupt her relationship with her aunt, Lori. Melanie could not provide any details or evidence of Brandon's threats or manipulations. We concluded our call. Y'all, that call is really interesting. I'm going to pull it up in just a second. And Donna, if you can, that'd be wonderful. If you can. If not, I'll get it. I learned that redacted responses returned from redacted near Hallbrook, Arizona. This is going to be your DEA cams, okay? That's why the DEA agent is on the witness list. It had nothing to do with drugs, I don't believe, but they do have a lot of cameras on the interstates in order to, there's, Mexico's right there. There's a lot of trafficking, whether it's drugs, arms, people, okay? So, I mean, that makes sense to me. That really does make sense to me. I could be wrong. On 10/1/2019, on the I-40 at 6:52 hours, a gray-colored hardtop two-door Jeep Wrangler with the Texas license plate redacted was captured driving toward the Phoenix metro area. The Jeep did not have a wheel affixed to the back of the vehicle. The image was captured approximately 26 hours and 30 minutes prior to Brandon's attempted homicide. That's a biggie right there. I contacted Chandler Detective Moffitt. He's testifying. Allegedly, he's on the witness list, I think, right? And Detective Coons, and provided them with the updated information. As a result, they contacted the Federal Bureau of Investigation for assistance with the cellular data received from the Chandler and Gilbert investigations. 10/17/2019, the FBI confirmed receipt of the phone records, long redaction, information. This information showed Lori may be living in Idaho. hence Melanie's desire to move. October 22nd, 2019, Brandon told me about a suspicious death in Idaho and forwarded me a link to an obituary to Tamara Daybell. Okay, Brandon explained that Tammy Daybell, was the wife of Chad Daybell. Chad was an individual that Charles Vallow told Brandon about. Prior to his death, Charles discovered suspicious email correspondence between Lori and Chad. So this will probably be maybe whenever they can introduce the emails about, how they had light, dark. It was all of Lori's family, with light or dark ratings that she asked Chad, that she requested from Chad. Sure did. I don't know if that's when they can introduce it. Okay. Chad was an individual. Okay. Yeah. Prior to his death, Charles discovered suspicious email correspondence between Lori and Chad. Charles believed Lori and Chad had an ongoing affair with each other. The obituary Brandon sent me was from Tammy's death that occurred on 10/19/2019. I told Brandon that I would contact the respective Idaho law enforcement agencies for follow-up. I wish I had that call pulled up. Okay, 10/24/2019. Brandon called me to advise that Melanie had become unresponsive to his messages and may have left Arizona. She didn't actually move till 10/31/2019, which was their anniversary. They were married in 2008. I know too much about stuff I don't need to. Melanie did not try. She did not try to take their children, nor did she notify Brandon where she was going. The last contact Brandon had with Melanie was on 10/16/2019. 10/28/2019, Brandon contacted me to advise his children and he would be moving to Utah to stay with his parents for the foreseeable future. 10/29/2019, I established contact with the Madison County Sheriff's Office and inquired about Tammy Daybell's death. They did not have record of Tammy and referred me to the Madison County coroner. I contacted the Madison County coroner, who also had no record for Tammy's death. I reviewed the obituary that Brandon forwarded me and called the funeral home, which would be Flam Funeral Home. I was referred to the Fremont County Sheriff's Office because that agency investigated Tammy's death. I called Fremont County Sheriff's Office. This is why Tammy was, I do believe, y'all. Brandon, this freaked Brandon out, I do think. I called Fremont County Sheriff's Office and requested their police report 2019-03397, then spoke with Coroner Brenda Dye. Coroner Dye told me that no autopsy was performed on Tammy despite her age, 49 years old, and lack of medical history. Coroner Dye asked if there was anything suspicious or if there was something suspicious surrounding Tammy's death. I told her I was unsure. Unsolicited, so she just volunteered this. Coroner Dye shared that she spoke with neighbors of the Daybell family. The neighbors referred to the Daybell family as, quote, extremely religious. And there were recent reports of people meeting to plan for a doomsday event. Telling y'all, I think more people know stuff. It's a small town. I contacted Detective Moffitt and provided him with the updated information regarding Tammy Daybell's death. Detective Moffitt said he would contact the FBI to schedule a meeting to discuss the combined investigations. 10/31/2019. Detective McDermott contacted Fremont County Sheriff's Office, Lieutenant Powell, and learned there were multiple redacted responses received that confirmed the Jeep Wrangler Texas plate, redacted, was in Idaho. That's a big redaction. In summary, so now they're summarizing it when they let us back in. The Jeep traveled from the area of Idaho Falls on September 30th. That's important. Continued southbound into Arizona on 10/1. Brandon's shooting occurred on 10/2. Then the Jeep returned to the area of Idaho Falls on 10/3. Brandon messaged after he discovered Melanie and an unidentified male, presumably Alex, returned to Melanie's Gilbert residence. Oh, I got to do my calculations in my head. How long? Okay, 10/31. That's okay. So he had Rich Robertson at this time. Rich was doing surveillance, and that's when he saw the stuff, the kid stuff that Melanie put with a for free sign on it to give away of the children's stuff. Kind of alarming, whether it was junk stuff or not. It's just alarming given the context of everything else. I don't blame him. So Rich had said that when he saw that, he called Brandon. He was like, do you want me to grab it? And he was like, yeah. So he did. But at that time, Rich was able to, put a tracking device on the U-Haul that was eventually turned into Self Storage Plus upon arriving in Rexburg. Okay, so they moved property out of Melanie's rental home and into a U-Haul, which confirmed Melanie was moving. Subsequent supplements will document the investigation progress from 11/1 to 6/10/2020, and that's the end of the supplement. So, okay, just to kind of,
I did not hear what you told me to look up.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
It's okay. No. I just asked if you could look up the audio. Hold on. It's for Melanie Boudreaux. Melanie Boudreaux Pawlowski. And it's going to be her second interview with Gilbert. It's just an audio, but it's more alarming to me.
Yeah.
It's like 30 minutes long. Yeah. Okay. So not the one with her little girl.
Okay, I'll be looking too.
Okay, I think I got it. Nope, that's the Yules. That's the Yules. I fibbed. Let's see. Okay. That doesn't tell me anything. Okay, Melanie Okay, no, I uploaded it not long ago. Okay, let me back it up. We'll just listen to, I don't know. We'll listen to it till we don't want to anymore. Let me turn captions on. And there. Oh.
Yes, Melanie, I do. Thank you for trying to get me to remember. But yes, I remember you. How are you today?
Oh, okay. How are you?
I'm all right. What can I help you with?
I'm just calling. I'm trying to figure out. I'm not sure what kind of happened with the case, and you said to call if anything kind of came up or found out any more information.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon and I have a mediation agreement on 50-50, and he was supposed to drop the kids off at school today and drop my daughter off, and he hasn't taken them to school, and he said he has the kids and they're safe, but he's refusing to go with the agreement. And I found some things out about his family, just that they're been into drugs. They're kind of some of the same things I told you that he had been into. I'm just kind of worried about them. I don't want to make a big fuss about all this. I don't want to call I don't want to call the cops and make everything a big drama ordeal. I just worried about him and worried about the kids, and I feel like something's off.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if you've kind of heard back on anything, and if kind of what you're thinking. But
well, we're still waiting back on some of the legal processes we've sent out, and we're gathering some evidence to identify a few things that are just not adding up. As far as the custodial arrangement goes between you and Brandon, is there? You said there's court paperwork, the mediation that you guys had?
Yeah. So per our agreement, he was supposed to drop the kids off at school this morning, and then our daughter this morning, and he just said, "I'm not coming."
Okay.
And he's not taking the kids to school, so I'm just worried something might be up with him, and I don't want to make a big fuss about it.
She's
about
on a
anything,
future
but I'm
expedition.
trying to just hold to our agreement that we've set in place. So,
Okay. I can reach out to him and see.
Okay, and throughout this, it sounds like she's shoving cotton balls up her damn nostrils or something. It's like, or Kleenex. She's like, it's weird.
If he has further information about that, about the custody and why he's not taking the kids to school. Is there anything? Has there anything developed between you or anything that you know of as far as him and the kids, or anything that would make him so he doesn't take the kids to school?
Well, I found out a lot of stuff about his family, just that they're not into some good things. And I had mentioned to him, I said, I think I want to I want to maybe move. It's hard to be in the same state with him and all this stuff going on. Like, I just don't want to be involved with whatever he's into. Feels like, and I don't want to, I can't take the kids out of state. So I just said, hey, I think I'm going to move. We need to come up with a decision and a different agreement for the kids. And maybe, they stay here in school with you, or maybe I take them and we start new schools, but let's, we can go to mediation again, or if we can come to a mutual agreement. And so, I just said, we'll talk, I might move next week. I don't know. I just want to figure out, all this drama is just kind of ridiculous. I just want to get to a point where we can kind of have a clean break from each other and have just a normal life again. So, he'd been traveling to Vegas several days this summer for work while I had full custody of the kids, and found out his family there has been into drugs and drug dealing and tons of stuff. And so I'm just trying to figure out a way to have the kids safe and away from this stuff, but not, I don't want to take them away from him. They left their dad. I just want to make sure he's safe and not into stuff that,
I can tell you, the conversations and communications I've had with him since the incident, there hasn't been any signs of influence, drugs or alcohol even.
Everybody take their blood pressure medicines.
Pretty consistent contact with him since the attempted homicide. Like I said, there are other legal avenues going about, and I can assure you, at least the last time I spoke with Brandon, which was this morning, the kids were okay. I don't know what his long game is as far as custody or anything. That's going to be something you guys are going to have to handle through the civil courts and your mediation and through the divorce. From what I understand, the divorce isn't complete yet either. So I'm combing through a lot of legal documents and electronic data. So that all being said, I don't know what his intentions are. Why he's not taking his kids to school, that's going to be something you're going to have to communicate with him directly. But if you both are concerned about the welfare of your children, that's something you're going to have to present to a court and come to some sort of agreement.
Okay.
As far as since our last conversation, has anything come to light, or have you noticed anything else that could be helpful to this investigation to identify potential leads?
I've found out where he's traveled to. He was in Oregon the other weekend. I think he has somebody lined up that he's been dating for a while who thinks he's been divorced a year. His Square receipts came to my email, and he told me he was moving that weekend. And so there's just been a lot of extra traveling going on. And I know he was in Vegas and hanging out with a cousin who's into drugs and alcohol. And so I don't really know what's truth and what's not, because I've been told different things by him. So as far as that, I've just kind of found out stuff about his family and him traveling.
When you say found out stuff about family, what did you find out about his family?
That his uncle in Vegas there is dealing with drugs, and also his son who was living with Brandon for a time. So Brandon's cousin was living with him and into drugs and some not other good things. And I don't want to start.
When you say drugs, what kind of drugs?
All sorts.
All sorts.
Ecstasy, just I'm not great with drug names. I'm not.
Fair enough. When you say other stuff, what other things are they doing?
I think there's been like some abuse going on in his family. That's kind of been hidden and under the radar. There's just been a lot of stuff that they don't talk about that's come to light recently. And so,
go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say that it kind of, all these behaviors and things I've noticed with Brandon, like I think there was like some trauma or something that he was associated with that kind of add up to all these
I like this lonely time.
And so,
yeah.
Do you, what was his uncle's name that lived in Vegas?
Chris Boudreaux, I believe.
Sure, you know.
And then what about his cousin's name?
Cousin's name is Chance. It's C-H-A-N-T-S.
C-H-A-N-C-S?
T-S, so T is in tiger, like Chance. And it's spelled weird.
That is awesome.
And that's both Boudreaux.
Okay. And so you believe that those ones are involved in some sort of illegal dealings and some sort of drug activity?
Yeah, I know Brandon's been close with them and traveling and stuff, and so I don't want to get anybody in trouble. I just want to make sure my kids are safe.
No, absolutely. And again, when it comes down to what I'm investigating, it's an attempted homicide. Somebody tried to kill Brandon, and I don't know if it's somebody from family, if it's somebody from friends, if it's somebody from business. And like I said, we're combing through a lot of information and everything, so there's been a lot of suspicious
and that's why
happenings.
That's why I say all this. I just want to make sure I don't want anything to happen to my kid's dad, and I don't want. I just want all this to kind of blow over, if that's even possible.
I would like that too, but I don't think it.
I don't want to be charged.
At least not now that we're involved. So
stop investigating.
You said you may be moving. When are you going to be moving?
I don't have plans in stone. I kind of brought that up to him because I just don't feel it's hard being here. Like I've been constantly bullied and manipulated by him, and it just keeps going on. And I just don't know how to live here and kind of find happiness with all this going on. So I don't have like a lot of family here, and I kind of just threw that out there. Like, can we come up to some sort of new arrangement so that we can, kind of both move on? I know he wants to move on. He's already been dating this girl, wants to be remarried. So, and like you said, like, strangely, our divorce is not final yet when we started the process in July. So something's going on with mediation and the court not signing off on it. And so
has it been, did you put a delay on it, or did you try to cancel anything on it?
Fucking job.
No, absolutely not. I contacted our mediator, and she said everything was submitted. I called the court, and the court said, no, we don't have anything on record. We still show that Brandon's petitioned for divorce, and you haven't responded. And I was like, well, I responded in July when we both were in mediation. And then I called the mediator, and she's like, oh, what's the court system? It takes forever. So I don't know on which end. I'm assuming it's our mediator that perhaps didn't. She hasn't been great about staying in contact with us and emailing us. So I don't know what's going on with that. I would love to be,
Alexander,
have that be final, because I've tried. I mean, like I said, I wanted to buy out of all the businesses, anything he's into right now. Like, I don't want to be held liable for anything he's into. So
it's so that's not done yet. But as far as the move goes, you don't have set dates or.
No, I told him, I said, I want to move next week, and I've been very vague because I don't know yet. I just need to be able, we haven't been able to really communicate without, I try to not communicate unless we absolutely have to, just because there's been a lot of bullying, and so
And when you say bullying, do you have records of that? Are there
I know.
Because from what I understand, you guys predominantly communicate via text message.
Yeah, we try to just do text, and so it's most of the time like if it's whenever it's in person, which he'll say all the things in mediation correct, and then as soon as we walk out of mediation, he'll make comments and threats, and so I don't have stuff recorded. I need to be better about that. As far as I've tried to just communicate through text and not call. So you don't have to.
No, then that makes sense.
Go that route.
Okay. But you are not, as far as right now, you don't have set plans, but if you needed to move or could move, you could be moving as soon as next week?
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm like, this is not a good time to move. He's obviously, there's something going on. I wanted to just...
Because you've only lived at your place for a short time, right?
Yeah, I've only lived here, we moved in July, so we're renting, and I have a year lease agreement. I don't want to move. I want to stay here, but I feel like I can't, like, with all this stuff going on and the constant, like, threats and bullying from him. So I was like, let's try to come up with an arrangement so we don't have to, like, it's hard to see him every day, and...
You don't.
All the things he's saying about me are hard. I know, like, word gets around quick, and he's just said a lot of untrue things, and that's hard.
But who is he saying this to?
Nobody.
He's said it to my family. He said it to everybody here. Like, we had a lot of mutual friends because he has a ton of people in his companies that he's worked with. Some people that have kind of turned their back on him because he's screwed them over in business deals, but a lot of other, just our close friends, people are cautious to come around me. I can't go to the gym without people.
It's because you have Alex with you.
They don't know what's going on. They just think I'm a crazy person.
You are.
So, which is totally like a narcissistic, like, gaslighting. I confronted him about being gay, and he's super upset about it, and now saying I'm crazy and that whatever he can. And so that just confuses people, and people don't know what to think about that, and so it's hard to be here.
Where would you be going to?
I threw out Boise, Idaho, because it's in the middle of nowhere, and I have a couple friends that live in Seattle area, and some that just moved to Idaho from Seattle, and so I was like, I just want to be somewhere that's just away from all that, like, have just a fresh start, and kind of just try to find happiness again. So, I mean, I don't have a plan. I felt frustrated being here, and I wanted to come up with a new agreement so we don't have to see each other all the time.
Okay.
You don't.
Because there are records that come back to Boise, Idaho, that I've obtained so far during this investigation. Does anybody else that you know live out there?
Nope.
Did you say there's no records?
There are records.
Oh, there are records.
Connected to Boise. That's interesting that you bring that up, because there's some correspondence from there, or at least it appears to be from there, but we're trying to tie that all together still. There's
Good job, cop.
Other areas of this investigation that are involving the federal government, FBI, right now.
Oh,
wow.
So is there more that you know?
More that I know.
Melanie, there's information I've been presented with and some evidence that tell me that other people are involved that you may have relations with. And I would like you, if you have more information, I'd like you to be forthcoming early on so I don't find out something later on.
Yeah, well, I've tried to just be, completely honest with everything I have, and the only other thing that, I don't know, I worry about Charles Vallow and what he was into.
He's dead, bitch.
And I think at one point, they had found out in the family he was, like, on an ISIS hit list or something.
A hit
and
list?
They called and warned him and his wife, my Aunt Lori, and
a hit list.
They were like, there's nothing to be alarmed of, but we just need to let you know. So, like, I don't know.
Who made that phone call?
She don't know.
Who made the phone call? I don't. They were notified.
Who notified them? I guess is a better way for me to ask that.
I don't know what department, I guess, if that's what you're asking, that would call them. They just said, like, oh my gosh, we just found out that he was like on a ISIS hit list or something, and they had to notify him, but a lot of people were on this list, I guess, but they legally had to notify him, and so they were kind of like, well, what do we do? And they're like, well, we don't know. And so nothing kind of ever happened with that I know of. That's the questions that come up like that, and it's like, what's going on with Charles? Like, what was he doing? What business? And it concerns me because Brandon was doing business with him.
Okay.
So, as far as my pick with Boise, I feel like I have a lot of family in Utah too, and it's kind of like, and I have family in Seattle, so it's kind of like a middle point of, I've never been to Boise other than driving through, so I was like, maybe, I don't know, I haven't even visited Boise, so.
It's quite the move to go somewhere that you don't.
It's a leap, and when you just feel like alone in that,
I feel like somebody was
you don't know, like, my whole world's come crashing down. I was happily married for
it's a
leap, and when you just feel,
right there, it sounds like a girl going, huh, or something. I don't know.
Move to go somewhere that you don't.
It's a leap, and when you just feel like alone in that, you don't know, like,
move to go somewhere.
I don't know, I haven't even visited Boise, so.
It's quite the move to go somewhere that you don't.
It's a leap, and when you just feel like alone in that, you don't know, like, my whole world's come crashing down. I was happily married for 10 years, and then finding out my husband's gay, and then him turning around and telling everybody I'm crazy because there's no way he's gay. So, and I've seen him drive a wedge between, he has a lot of anger and vengeance towards my aunt, Lori Vallow, who he thinks was the one who first outed him on being gay. He thinks she told me and was on to him first about him being gay. And many people and videos and other things came forward about that. It wasn't her. And I'm not upset about him being gay if that's what I told him, I said, if you can just tell me, like, we'll work through this. Like, we have kids together. But he was so adamant, like, no, I'm not doing any of this. You're crazy. And now all these things, like him threatening to get my records removed from my church I go to, like, just hateful things that I would never do to him for the actions he's done. I just want, if there's any sort of way to move forward from things and just not involve our kids and just let the kids just have a normal life, like, that's what I want, if there's any way to do that. So,
yeah, and that, again, that's going to be something that mediation through the courts, as strenuous as it is, that's really the only correct way to do it with the legal system that we live in.
Right.
And I do agree that it does come.
But I feel better if you're saying you're in contact with him and that the kids are safe. Like, I kind of felt like I was upset at first when, like, I found out they weren't at school, because I'm like, what is he up to? Like, he's supposed to drop my daughter off. He's been working directly with the Ewell family, who they drive him everywhere now.
The one you
and just went up to Utah with them over the weekend.
The what family? Maybe so I can have that documented. What family was it?
Ewell's, Ewell. His first name is Brandon Ewell.
Okay, and how do you know that he was with them?
So every time we meet now, he has them drop them off. He's been chauffeuring him around ever since the thing happened with the car. So
shooting.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Okay, so you've seen him with the Ewell family. That's how you know that he's with them or been with them.
Yeah, and the kids said they've been sleeping there at their house. Like, I don't think they've been home. They just sleep at their house. And then they all rented an RV this weekend and went to Utah all together to stay with the Brandon's family up there.
Okay. You said earlier that Brandon, tried to drive a wedge between you and Lori?
Yeah.
Okay. How did he try to do that?
He noticed that we started to, I don't know if you remember, they did a juice truck business in Hawaii together, Charles and Lori. and Brandon tried to get involved, and I didn't feel good about it. I was like, I don't want to do business with family, even if we're going to make a ton. Like, I love my family, and I don't want there ever to be, like, money to get in the way of that. And he insisted on doing it. Charles and Brandon were the two key people on that investment, and they both, it just crumbled to the ground. And then Brandon used that, like, your aunt's irresponsible. You shouldn't talk to her. She wasted our money, when she didn't really have anything to do with it. And so that was the first time he started to kind of drive that wedge there. And then anytime family gatherings and stuff, like, he just made it a point, kind of like, pick me or pick her, you know?
Yeah.
And like I said, she was like a mom to me for many years, because she would help with our son and stuff.
Yeah.
Because my mom passed away. So he's tried to say, you know, Lori's crazy, you know, shouldn't talk to her, and she's religious, and just all these things to try to make her sound crazy to me. And then the whole thing that happened with Charles, when Charles went to the house and then was shot by my uncle, he flipped that whole story and said, do you still think I'm gay because they just murdered Charles? And I hadn't heard about it yet. And I freaking read it in the news, and it was a total different story. And then find out later, like, that was their whole the whole plan to try to turn family against each other.
And because of the Chandler incident, I would be interested to talk with either Lori or your uncle.
Yeah, well, I gave you their phone numbers today.
Yeah, I haven't reached out to him yet, but.
Oh, okay.
You still keep contact with them?
Yeah, I try to. Like, it's hard because I know they're living their own lives, and I'm going through this right now. This has been a handful for me, and trying to just figure it out has been.
Yeah, and they've been through a traumatic experience too. I mean, I get
right.
it. But, have they stayed here, or have they gone somewhere else?
She flew in and visited us for a few days when I got to have the kids, so we got to have some fun with the kids. Lori did.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, as far as I know,
he
drives trucks, or
he quit his job.
He doesn't really. I don't think he's here. He did rent a house down in Queen Creek.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he left it.
He had a lease, I think, on it.
Left it.
So, but
you don't know if he still hangs out there or not?
Yeah, I don't think he does. But I feel like, I don't know, like, I'm closer with Lori, and try to, like, she's been sweet. She went through a bunch of the same stuff. Her husband was kind of bullying, narcissistic, same type of stuff. And so she's just been sweet and supportive through having to go through this. So, and
she might help be able to paint a better picture of Brandon as well if I need to talk to her later on.
Yeah, I'm sure she'd be happy to help in any way. Like, she was worried too when I told her, like, somebody's trying to shoot at Brandon, and we both are like, well, what about the kids? And
yeah, and that's
so yeah, anything I can give you that helps.
Yeah, and I, like I said, there probably will be here in the near future. That's why if you do leave out of state, if you could shoot me a call or something, just let me know.
Well, I mean, I don't feel like I should right now with all this going on. Like, I don't want to leave my kids and leave my kids with him. So
yeah, and like I said, it's going to come down to a mediation type agreement to actually set something in stone if you do decide to move. I don't know what the situation is right now, but if you were to just up and leave state, I don't know if that would be allowed per your agreement. If it is allowed, then I'm guessing he doesn't want that to happen now that he knows that you want to move. I'm sure that you wouldn't want him to do the same, so it may be worth reaching out and communicating with him to come to a conclusion to that.
Yeah, trying to. Haven't heard back. That's why I was like, I don't know what to do now. So.
Yeah, and you guys predominantly use text messages. That's still correct, right? Unless you meet in person.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll reach out, and I can reach out for you as well. I don't want to become a mediator. Let me be clear about that.
Yeah, no, and I don't want to call you and make you be a mediator. I didn't know if this had to do with something that he's into, and so I was like, if you had.
This is the first I've heard of it, of the kid issue. I do know that he's reached out to other entities as he can and as you can, and so maybe that has some involvement to it. I'll let him know that I spoke with you though. And encourage him to reach out to you so you guys can communicate as clear as possible about the kids.
You have kids.
And maybe just the kids only, right? I mean, I don't want you guys going into different avenues and creating a text argument that doesn't look good. So.
Well, what do you mean you think I should reach out to different entities? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah,
that's up to you. I mean, if you want to seek legal assistance or if you want to seek, help from the courts or things of that nature. I know he's asked me questions similar like what you've asked me as far as kids and mediation and things of that sort. And like I told you, it comes down to the family courts. If you need assistance, that's what they're there for, and you can reach out to them to give you legal assistance if needed.
Okay.
But especially when it comes down to your 4 children, the best way for you guys to keep them as unfazed as possible is to maintain a good communication with each other, you and Brandon. To keep it as clean and clear as possible so the kids have very little involvement or witness to things behind the scenes. So, like I said, I will probably reach out to you later on with some other questions. Do you have anything else for me right now? Questions, comments, concerns?
I don't think I do.
All right. Okay, well, if that changes, or again, if you do decide to go out of town, be it for, a couple weeks or indefinitely, please just let me know so I have a better idea of how to communicate with you and realize, hey, I can't talk to you in person now. I'm going to have to make other arrangements.
Well, as of right now, I don't see myself going next week. I kind of want to make sure everything's okay. And
that's fair, so. Okay, well, Melanie, thanks for giving me a call, and we'll be in contact.
Okay, thanks so much.
Yep, bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Hold on. My computer's froze up on me. Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Am I on the right thing? Okay, yeah. All right. I'm like, oh, no, it wouldn't let me move. All right. So, okay. I just had it pulled, and then I had to come back over here. She is such a freaking liar. She's a liar. Pants on fire. Pants on fire. Okay, we did that one. And I don't even know how many tabs I have open. Not that one. Where'd I put it? Okay, so here's a few things that I was highlighting while that was playing. I'm sorry, I was talking over it a lot at the end, towards the end for sure. So, okay, whenever I read the document from Melanie and Brandon's, it was a case, or where to put it? It was a recap, is what it was. A recap on their divorce and the children, the custody battle. I'm trying to get it. That was from November of 2020. Okay, so from that, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, you could do. This is crazy. I'm just chasing my tail. Let's see. It's going to be one of them. Okay, here it is. So there was this one part that Brandon said that he has evidence of Lori telling Melanie that Brandon was dark. And so I found this. July 2019, there were text communications between Lori and Melanie. July 9th, 2019. This is 2 days before my Uncle Charles was murdered. Okay. And so July 9, 2019, Lori is informed that Adam and Charles are planning an intervention for her. Lori, Melanie, and Alex are in communication. Lori insists that Melanie cancel her trip to Utah for a wedding and stay to defend themselves. That's in quotes. Stating, quote, everything's coming to a head this week. Everything's coming to a head this week will change everything, unquote. Lori texts Melanie about Brandon's darkness and advises her to keep their daughter away from him, citing Chad Daybell. So I wonder if that is what Brandon has proof of, and how Melanie would, according to Brandon, he has evidence of Melanie being excited about Lori telling her that Brandon was dark. Okay, so then we get into the Lori tells Alex the plot is thickening and he needs to stay close. July 10th, Melanie expresses a desire to go to the wedding, her sister's wedding, but Lori tells her, quote, this is your mission. It's hard to just sit here or sit there, unquote. Lori, Alex, and Melanie eat lunch at Aunt Summer's house. That's on July 10th. Lori again tells Melanie to stay in Arizona as Charles is expected in the morning. She knew the plan. She didn't know about it. She found out about his death on the news. Remember that when she just said that? Yeah. Lori again tells Melanie to stay in Arizona as Charles is expected in the morning. July 11th, Charles Vallow is shot and killed by Alex Cox at Lori's Arizona home. Lori and Alex claim self-defense. Lori packs up her kids and moves to Rexburg, Idaho, which, what? That's not right then. Let me take that out, because that's not till September 1st. July 13th, Lori performs a casting to rid Brandon of his darkness. This is July 13th, claiming he has an evil spirit and is very highly dark. Melanie relocates out of the marital home. Brandon also removes his belongings and goes in. Okay, and fearing he and his children are next. Okay, Melanie texts Lori that Adam has called Brandon, telling him Al murdered Charles, and puts the call on speaker for her to hear. Brandon asks Melanie if she still believes everything she believes. Melanie asks Lori if Tylee has a phone or a way to contact Brandon or Adam. Lori replies, nope, I still have it. I mean, in my opinion, Melanie was all on board for isolating Tylee. Okay, Lori asked Chad to rid Melanie's home of darkness. So I wonder if that's like the hit, Chad claims Brandon might be getting a restraining order and warns of listening devices in Melanie's home. I wonder if they put them, since they project everything. July 19th, Melanie gets a burner phone, excited for her clear line. July 20th, Lori and Chad discuss Melanie and Brandon's son, Blake, who was 4, by the way, labeling him, quote, severely dark, unquote. Chad claims he, quote, sliced his aura vertically in several places, unquote, to decrease his, quote, pain tolerance, unquote, and increase his, quote, desire to depart, unquote. This is July 20th. This is Melanie's 4-year-old son, because 2 of the middle children, they have 4, 2 of the middle children it was Brighton and Blake, were dubbed dark. That's so messed up, y'all. July 21st, Melanie texts Lori suggesting she, quote, get a life insurance policy on JJ, Tylee, and yourself, unquote, after Charles's death, stating, quote, anything can happen. I'm sorry, she talks weird. Anything can always happen if it's in the Lord's will, unquote. August 2019, August 31st, Lori begins her move to Rexburg, Idaho. Alex goes with her. He abandoned his house in Santan Valley. He quit his job because that's how he got it. I don't know. Tylee is unenrolled from school. September 2019, September 8th, Lori, Tylee, JJ, and Alex are photographed at Yellowstone National Park. The last known photograph of both children alive together. September 9th, Alex Cox's cell phone shows he spent 2 hours on Chad Daybell's property. Chad texts Tammy about shooting and burying a raccoon, interpreted as the burial of Tylee. September 10th through 12th, Lori and Melanie fly to Kansas City. Tylee's phone IP address pings from there, but she is not seen. Melanie pays for the hotel room. September 17th, Melanie asks Brandon for his new address. Let me highlight that so that I can come back to that easily. September 22nd, JJ Vallow is, wait, let me fix that. Asks. Okay. September 22nd, JJ Vallow is last seen by Melanie Gibb. And that's when they take that, or that's when that picture is found in Lori's iCloud account with him in the red pajamas sitting on the couch, being an angel, in my opinion. Just, I don't know. He looks dissociated, actually, but I don't too much blame them. I think that's the point. Okay, so the picture of him in red pajamas is taken. September 23rd, JJ's school calls due to his absence. Lori claims she is homeschooling him. Alex Cox's phone pings in Chad Daybell's backyard again. 17 minutes. Interpreted as the burial of JJ. September 25th, Brandon signs a lease and begins moving into his new rental home. Okay. Alex tints the windows on Tylee's Jeep. There's a receipt and everything for all this. September 26th. This is whenever Melanie flies. Okay, hold on. September 26th, Melanie Boudreaux flies from Arizona to Rexburg, landing 3 hours later. She's on Allegiant Flight 608. Alex gets a new burner phone. Isn't that coinky dinky? Huh? I wonder if that's for Mel. Brandon tells Kay Woodcock that Lori moved to Idaho. September 28th. Alex is at a unified shooting range in Rexburg. It's a shooting range, so he's practicing. September 30th, Lori searches online for how to get the back seat out of my Jeep Wrangler. Surveillance video shows her putting the back seat into a storage unit. Not just her. I've heard some people say they're not too sure that that's even going to be entered into evidence. You know, like it may not even enter the trial, which pisses me off because it's like, that is the most direct proof. I swear, you catch them in the act. To me, that was like a textbook, perfect example of a conspiracy. Okay, Alex's actual phone pings at Lori's apartment in Idaho on September 30th. He makes calls to Chad using burner phones. Alex begins driving Tylee's Jeep Wrangler with Texas plates LWD-0997 towards Arizona. He's clocked southbound on I-15 near Blackfoot, Idaho. Melanie enlists friends, including Melanie Gibb, to find Brandon's address. Oh, wait, no. Okay, I'm sorry. Hold on. Misquote. Okay, October 2019, October 1st. Early in the morning. Actually, hold on. Okay, I'm going to share this. Oh. That way you're not just looking at me. My ear's red. My ear's red. Okay, we're already at 2 hours and 4 minutes. Cheese and rice. The time flies, huh? When you're talking about crimes. Okay. This is not it. Hold on. I have like the same, apps or whatever open on the thing. So they all look the same. Sorry. All right. So I did a storage unit from East Idaho News. So the report presented by Nate Eaton for East Idaho News meticulously details the activities surrounding Lori Vallow Daybell's storage unit in Rexburg, Idaho, and links them to significant events in the ongoing investigation, particularly the shooting of Brandon Boudreaux. The use of enhanced surveillance footage provides crucial insights into who visited the unit and what was moved. So the key findings and analysis: storage unit rental and initial deposits, October 1st. Lori Vallow Daybell rented the unit by herself on October 1st. It's important to note that she signed the lease, Lori Ryan, which police actually found when they did the welfare check. Actually, not the day they did the welfare check, because that was November 26, 2019. But at the day after, the cops went back with the search warrant and they skedaddle paddled, right? They were gone pecan. And so the detective Chuck Consitis, a really tall, huge guy. He actually testified for sure. Now, Ray Hermosillo also, there's multiple officers there at the same time. So he may be able to testify to that too. But Lori Ryan, there was a Storage Home Plus or whatever. What's the name of the rental unit? Storage Plus in Rexburg. It was a 10 by 10 unit that was rented by Lori, but she signed it Lori Ryan, and the lease for that rental unit was actually on the printer that was left behind by Lori. So just note that. Lori Vallow Daybell rented the unit. Okay, she initially placed personal belongings, including children's bikes, scooters, photo albums, and blankets with pictures of JJ and Tylee. This establishes the unit as containing items directly related to the missing children from the outset. The October 2nd visit, Lori and Chad Daybell, the contradiction clarified. Timeline: morning, approximately 9:30 a.m. Arizona time. Brandon Boudreaux is shot at in Gilbert, Arizona, while returning home from the gym. The vehicle involved is a Jeep registered to Charles Vallow, and Alex Cox is strongly suspected as the shooter. 2:25 p.m. Rexburg time corrected from 1:25 p.m. timestamp. Lori's blue Nissan Rogue arrives at the Self-Storage Plus facility. 2:27 p.m. Rexburg time. Lori exits the vehicle with a man now identified as Chad Daybell. Based on his walk and mannerisms, this clarifies previous assumptions that it may have been Alex Cox. 2:29 p.m. Rexburg time. Chad pulls a tire out of the back of the Rogue and rolls it into the storage unit. 2:30 p.m. Rexburg time. Chad and Lori both carry in what appears to be a removable car seat, which is the back seat to the Jeep. 2:32 p.m. Rexburg time. They leave the facility. Their entire visit lasted only 7 minutes. Significance: this visit's timing is critical because it occurs on the same day as the Brandon Boudreaux shooting in Arizona. The clarification that Chad Daybell was with Lori in Rexburg at 2:25 p.m. local time rules out the possibility of Alex Cox being with Lori in Rexburg just hours after the shooting. This supports the theory that Alex Cox was indeed in Arizona for the shooting and then traveled to Idaho. Plus, that he left his primary phone behind, but it wasn't left in Alex's apartment. It was left in Lori's apartment, and she actually makes a phone call between her primary phone and Alex's primary phone for 23 minutes. I mean, yeah, almost smart enough, Lori. Dumbass. Okay, so the Jeep's tire and car seat potential evidence. This report, the report highlights that many Jeep models with spare tires on the back have immovable back windows. If the tire is removed, the window can open. This raises the possibility that the tire removed from Lori's Rogue. No, not from Lori's Rogue. Okay. From the Jeep, placed in storage was from Charles Vallow's Jeep. Oh, wait, no, it was in the Rogue. Let's watch the video. Because now I'm like, uh-oh. I do have it pulled up. We are getting a closer look at... Whoa.
I'm Nate Eaton, and we are getting a closer look at surveillance footage from Self Storage Plus in Rexburg. This is the facility where Lori Vallow went on October 1st to rent a storage unit, and inside she placed some very personal belongings, such as children's bikes, scooters, also some photo albums, and blankets with pictures of her children, JJ and Tylee. Lori and sometimes two men visited the facility 9 times in October and 1 time in November. The big question is what happened on October 2nd. We know that Lori rented the unit by herself the day before on the 1st, but on October 2nd, she came in her blue Nissan Rogue with a man we originally thought was Alex Cox, her brother. But a closer look of enhanced high-quality video shows it likely was not Alex. In fact, it appears to be Chad Daybell, based on the way he walks, looks, and comparing his mannerisms to other video we have of him. Let me walk you through this. The blue Rogue arrives at 2:25. You can see the timestamp says 1:25, but that's because the clocks were off, according to the facility. Lori is driving the Rogue and makes her way to the door of the building where her unit is. She gets out 2 minutes later at 2:27 with the man we believe is Chad. At 2:29, he pulls a tire out of the back of the Rogue and rolls it into the storage unit. Then 1 minute later, he and Lori both carry in together what appears to be a removable car seat. They put it in the locker, shut the door, and leave the facility at 2:32. Their entire visit is just 7 minutes. So why does this matter? Well, that same day, Brandon Boudreaux says that he was shot at in Gilbert, Arizona around 9:30 that morning while coming home from the gym. Brandon had been married to Melanie, Lori's niece, and he had a very large life insurance policy and assets totaling over $1 million. Months earlier, Melanie began spending a lot of time with Lori and her religious group. Then Melanie suddenly demanded a divorce from Brandon. The bullet missed his head by inches, and police say the person who shot at him was driving a Jeep registered to Charles Vallow. Charles had been dead for nearly 3 months at this point, and Tylee Ryan regularly drove that Jeep, but she had been missing for more than a month at this point. Now, if you're familiar with Jeeps, you know that many models have spare tires on the back, and if they are in place, the back window does not open. But if they are removed, that window does open. So it's possible that the Jeep used in that shooting had the tire removed, and that tire could have been placed into the storage unit along with the back seat of the Jeep. We would ask Alex Cox if that was the case, but we can't because he's dead, and police are not commenting. But if Cox was not in Rexburg, it's possible he was in Arizona, inside Charles Vallow's Jeep. The next day, back in Rexburg, Lori returns to the storage facility with another man who we believe is Alex. They were there for 3 minutes. You can see them entering, working their way to the same door she was at the day before, and going into the building. Compared to the guy from the day before, this man walks differently and carries the tire out rather than rolling it. The man we think is Cox also carries out the car seat by himself without any help from Lori. Originally, we thought this was a tote with something hanging over the end, but this higher quality video shows that it appears it's actually a vehicle seat, and Lori and Alex are likely taking it away. 3 days later, on October 6th, Alex returns to the storage unit by himself in his silver pickup and comes 5 other times that month, including a visit on October 28th with a man who appears to be Chad Daybell. They stay 6 minutes and wheel in bikes and other items. The last time anyone visits the storage locker is November 24th. Lori and Chad stay for 4 minutes and drop off this Home Depot box and a tote, leaving belongings of JJ and Tylee never to return. Police have now seized all of the items that were inside of that storage unit, along with the Jeep that was used in the shooting of Brandon. I'm Nate Eaton for EastIdahoNews.com.
All right. Okay, so a little clarification on that. And then where did I just open that? Okay. I found this too. This is the Maricopa County. Okay. This is the indictment, grand jury indictment, count 1, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, a class 1 felony, dangerous, Lori Vallow, The state of Arizona is the plaintiff. The defendant is Lori Vallow. And it says the grand jurors of Maricopa County, Arizona, accused Lori and Vallow on February 24, 2022, charging that in Maricopa County, Arizona, count 1, Lori and Vallow on or about October 2nd, 2019, with the intent to promote or aid the commission of an offense, to wit, Lori and Vallow agreed with Alexander Cox that at least one of them or another would engage in conduct constituting the offense of first-degree premeditated murder in violation of all these codes. The state further alleges that the offense charged in this account is a dangerous felony because the offense involved the discharge, use, or threatening exhibition of a gun, a deadly weapon, or dangerous instrument, and or the intentional or knowing infliction of serious physical injury upon Brandon, spelled wrong, Boudreaux, in violation of Arizona code. And so that's a true bill. And that's February 4th. Okay, so that's the motion to dismiss. Okay, hold on. I'm going back. This is an affidavit for Detective Ryan Pillar, where in the matter of Brandon Boudreaux, so this is back on 7/4/2021. Affidavit. Okay, so the affidavit of Detective Pillar of the Gilbert Police Department. And the petitioner, okay, so in the matter of Brandon Boudreaux, the petitioner, and Melanie Boudreaux, the respondent, state of Arizona, county of Maricopa, I, Ryan Pillar, have been first duly sworn upon oath, states as follows. I am a detective with the Gilbert Police Department, badge number 3451, and am assigned to the criminal investigation relating to the attempted murder of petitioner Brandon Boudreaux. I am providing this affidavit at the request of petitioner's counsel in lieu of testifying at the hearing scheduled for July 1st, 2020 in the above referenced matter. I was previously subpoenaed to testify at that hearing by respondent Melanie Pulowski, formerly known as Boudreaux. Melanie Pulowski is a person of interest in the investigation related to the attempted murder of Brandon Boudreaux. No charges as of the date of execution of this affidavit have been brought against Melanie Pulowski. Why? The investigation into the attempted murder of Brandon Boudreaux is an ongoing active investigation. In October 2019, Mr. Boudreaux was informed that there were concerns by law enforcement over the safety of Mr. Boudreaux and his children. At no time during this investigation has Mr. Boudreaux hid his or the children's whereabouts from law enforcement. At 2 points during October 2019, I made contact with Melanie Pulowski. On October 3rd, 2019, I initiated contact with Ms. Pulowski to inform her of the shooting at Mr. Boudreaux. On October 16, 2019, Ms. Pulowski contacted me regarding her children. Ms. Pulowski did not contact me again after this date with respect to her children or request my assistance in locating her children. So, boom. The investigation into the attempted murder of Brandon Boudreaux is part of a multi-law enforcement agency investigation that is spread across a number of jurisdictions. Further affiance saith not. Okay, so that was, again, July 4th, 2021. Just wanted to share that. And this is a 6/24/2021 grand jury indictment. I don't know why. There's that one and the other one. Wait, this is Charles Vallow. Okay, that's why. Now this is the this is a complaint breach out of the duty. Brandon Boudreaux, 6/17/2021. This has to do with his defamation lawsuit. And so I just kind of wanted to, I'm not going to read it all. It's 8 pages. The other one's 44 pages, which is interesting. I'll give you this link and you can go straight down to the very bottom of the page and you can look at all these documents. You can spend all night doing it. It's really interesting. But it says, that Freedom Specialty had insured 2 attorneys identified as Robert P. Jarvis and Garrett Smith, hereafter Jarvis and Smith, collectively under a legal professional liability policy, more particularly identified by policy number blank, for the policy period December 1st, 2019 to December 1st, 2020. So they have like LLC, limited liability corporation, I'm thinking. But right here, it says that the defamatory statements included, but were not limited to, allegations expressed and implied of criminal enterprise, child molestation, domestic violence, and sexual perversion, constituting defamation per se, that the aforesaid defamatory statements, including all of them, were not true, that the actions of Jarvis and Smith ultimately resulted in the promulgation of the defamatory remarks over the internet and throughout various media, that by reasons of the actions of Jarvis and Smith, plaintiff sustained and continues to incur substantial and irreparable damage to his name and reputation, that plaintiff initiated an action for defamation and false light against Jarvis and Smith in Maricopa County Superior Court. And there's a case number that Jarvis and Smith tendered the defense and indemnity of the above action to their insurer, the defendant herein, Freedom Specialty, that the policy had coverage limits of $500,000 per claim and $1 million in the aggregate. That by the way of correspondence dated July 1st, 2020, Freedom Specialty accepted coverage and defense, albeit subject to an express reservation of rights under the policy. So it goes, I just wanted to kind of, okay, here we go. At the time of the defamatory statements made by Jarvis and Smith, they were acting in their capacity as legal counsel for plaintiff's ex-wife, Melanie Pulowski, who was engaged in a contentious proceeding with plaintiff over custodial rights to the couple's 4 children. That Pulowski retained Jarvis and Smith to represent her in part in relation to a criminal investigation regarding the whereabouts of the children of her aunt, Lori Vallow, and regarding the alleged attempted murder of plaintiff. That the Vallow children were ultimately found dead in Idaho, and the investigation has received widespread international publicity, and that plaintiff alleges that publicity often refers to the names Pulowski and Boudreaux, plaintiff's last name, and searches on the internet into the Vallow children often lead to the names Pulowski and Boudreaux. That this has resulted in increased exposure online, and as we're doing right now, I feel guilty, to the allegedly defamatory comments made by Jarvis and Smith about plaintiff. That while Freedom Specialty continued to defend under a reservation of rights, plaintiff, through counsel, provided Freedom Specialty several opportunities to settle within policy limits, all of which were rebuffed by the defendant. That subsequent to the failed settlement discussions, Jarvis and Smith, through counsel, received correspondence dated October 22, 2020, from Freedom Specialty's coverage counsel, in which Freedom Specialty denied coverage and defense to Jarvis and Smith on the grounds never before raised, citing to an, quote, excluded claims endorsement, unquote. Okay, I don't want to read all this. I just want to read the pertinent stuff. Okay, so it can only refer to the custody battle between Brandon Boudreaux and his ex-wife, Melanie Pulowski, as that was the only Brandon Boudreaux matter in existence prior to the purported issuance date, January 31, 2020, and the occurrence of the defamation, February 24, 2020, and March 25, 2020. And so its use in the defamation action in the attempt to deny coverage for that matter was illicit and a fraudulent exercise to defeat rightful coverage. Dang, they even try to do that too, huh? Like, they're sleazy, in my opinion, allegedly. Okay. All right. Anyway, so I'm just going to kind of leave that there, and you're welcome to go read it because I'll give you the link. Oh yeah, but this one is 44 pages. I've never read it, so as soon as we get off here, I'm going to read it. And this is from 5/19/21, and this is to the bar, like the bar number, assessment for discipline by consent. So this should be really interesting to read. This is Jarvis Garrett Smith and Robert Jarvis. Yeah. Okay, so that'll be interesting. And then here's the judgment upon stipulation, where Brandon Boudreaux versus Robert Jarvis, an individual, and his wife, Julie Jarvis, Garrett Smith, an individual, and Carol Smith, his wife, John and Jane Doe, individuals, black and white partnerships, and corporations. You go, boy. And so it's just one page. On stipulation and good cause appearing, it is ordered, adjudged, and decreed that judgment be entered against Robert P. Jarvis, an individual, and Julie Jarvis, his wife, and Garrett L. Smith, an individual, and Carol Smith, his wife, jointly and severally, in the amount of $12 million on counts 1 and 2 of plaintiff's complaint. It is further ordered that this judgment is accepted as lodged with the court without entry of final judgment until such time as the reasonableness of the judgment has been determined and the judgment amended to conform therewith if necessary. Wow, huh? This has to do with the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. Detective Ryan Pillar requested assistance with conducting a forensic extraction of data from a Samsung Galaxy evidence item, in relation to a homicide investigation. Data was extracted from the Samsung phone and a manual search was completed. The Samsung phone did not have a SIM card or micro SD card. Artifacts which may be relevant to this investigation were located. Evidence item, and it says the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 with a cracked screen. Extraction protocol. I'm not going to read all of this, but I'll read some. Detective R. Pillar requested the data on evidence item blank Samsung Galaxy Note 8 phone be extracted and reviewed for artifacts which shows correspondence between Brandon Boudreaux and Charles Vallow, and evidence showing Charles Vallow's contact was blocked. Detective Pillar had identified Vallow's phone number as redacted. Detective Pillar had obtained consent to search the Samsung phone. Evidence item I'm just going to say blank, was obtained from the Gilbert Police Department. Property and evidence. It was within a sealed plastic bag and a manila envelope. The Samsung phone was cracked with a damaged screen. Let's see, it was I did not have a passcode and was not in airplane mode. Overall photos were taken from it. So they used Cellbrite for the extraction. And so they ended up with device information. There were 2 call logs, 3 chats, 10 contacts, 1 device user, instant messages 34, user accounts 3, database 1 database, and 1 images. And it says that I'm trying to get to the good stuff. Okay, so it says a manual search was completed on the Samsung Samsung phone, and artifacts which may be relevant to this investigation were located. They include device information, a image of an email from redacted, dated 3/6/2019, contacts and phone calls. Within Charles Vallow's contact information, the phone number of redacted was observed, which is slightly different than Detective Pillar had advised. There was 1 incoming call and 1 outgoing call observed within the contact information, and it showed the following. March 26th at 10:13 p.m., outgoing call, it was a mobile call, 10 minutes, 12 seconds. March 27th at 10:14 a.m., auto rejected call, and it was mobile. The 2 calls were also observed within the recents, and they showed the 2 calls occurred in 2019. Additionally, Charles Vallow contact information showed the option to, quote, unblock contact, unquote. A photo was taken of a contact named Chase Anderson, which I'm like, oh no, not the Andersons, okay? I don't know who that is, though. Unknown if related to the case, which showed the option to block contact. Another call from Charles Vallow on November 9th, 2018, that's around the time they sealed in the temple, shows the call was declined, not auto-rejected. It is unknown when exactly Charles Vallow's phone number was blocked, but the auto-rejected call on 3/27/19 indicates that Charles Vallow contact was blocked at that time. Okay, so I believe this is gonna come up too. Okay, that's just my hunch. And so that's more on the phone. And we read this right out the gate. Now this is honorable. Okay, Brandon Boudreaux, petitioner. This is an order appointment of a behavioral health professional. This is Dr. Carol Mellon. Brandon versus Melanie. It is ordered appointing the following behavioral health professional to conduct a comprehensive family evaluation in this case. And so it says, I don't know if this is worth reading right now. I'm trying to hurry through, but it's 4 pages. 3. And yeah, we'll just pass on that right now. Here's Debbie. I love Debbie. Alex Cox's ex-wife, who really opened my eyes to a lot of things within the Cox family. That, I mean, I'm not trying to start shit. This is truth, okay? This is what I heard. Rex and Adam, they've smeared Debbie. And I mean, I don't know how much they know each other, I mean, she was married to Alex when he was much younger. They were much younger. I want to say in the early 90s. Yeah. Debbie says that they have been married in 92 and divorced in 93. But I heard Adam and Rex both smear her. I guess because maybe they were like, oh, she's just talking shit. But they said something along the lines of that she was just a clout chaser. Okay. And I'm like, this ain't Diddy. Okay. I mean, what is she clout chasing? She didn't even, her last name's not on there. We don't know who Debbie is. You do, because she was married to Alex, but we don't. The public does not. But I appreciate Debbie, and I commend her for coming forward. And, despite all the naysayers, I just think that maybe it paints the Cox family in a negative light, or truthful light, so to speak. And they don't really care for that. And so the best thing to do is attack the character. And anyway, so I just think we need more people like Debbie to come forward and be whistleblowers, no matter what. Okay. I am very grateful and appreciate that. And hopefully one day, maybe Adam and Rex can maybe apologize to her. But on September 15, 2020, I received a message from a person who identified herself as Debbie, redacted. She indicated she had information regarding the Vallow investigation. I asked Debbie to tell me about the information she had. She told me that she was married to Alex several years prior. The marriage lasted for only about a year, but they did stay in contact for over the years. Debbie said that she had last talked with Alex after he was released from jail for the assault on Joe Ryan. Whoa, hello. Back up. Okay, dang. Hold on, I gotta recalibrate myself. Okay, where did it go? Dang, I mean, it made a big difference. It's way too close. Okay. Debbie said that she had last talked with Alex after he was released from jail for the assault on Joe Ryan. Alex had told Debbie that he was still mad at Joseph because of things involving Lori. Alex related that these things involved custody issues and potential SA with the children. Debbie said she would ask questions to Alex in order to get more information. I appreciate that. Alex would then minimize the topic by indicating they were just focused on getting custody of the children. Debbie was concerned that the abuse had actually taken place. Alex had indicated to Debbie that he wanted to bait Joseph into a fight so that he could kill him in self-defense. And then abracadabra, this happens to Charles too. Just like that. Alex had indicated to Debbie that, I already said that, it was said in a joking way. It reminds me of Lori and Chad on the phone and the jailhouse phone call where her and Chad are talking. It's the day before the kids were unearthed from Chad Daybell's damn back property or backyard property or whatever. And they say stuff and they're so stupid because they're like, like it makes it okay if I laugh about it or make it nice sounding. I don't know. But it's very interesting how Lori does this a lot. So I definitely can see where it runs in the family, you know? So just because you say it in a joking way does not mean that you didn't say it and or you don't mean it. You know what I'm saying? All right. It's very passive aggressive. Okay. As a result of this conversation, she never talked with Alex again. So, I mean, it disturbed her that much. She didn't even talk to him again. I asked Debbie how long after he was released that the talk had occurred. Then this is another pattern as well that I see, that there seems to be this revenge, this grudge. Like, look at Barry and the federal government, IRS, right? Look at Lori and Joe. She never shut up about Joe, okay? Never shut up about him. Still, to this day, I know she will. She brought it up in her allocution statement whenever she was lying about everything else. You know, she was just, and she smeared him again. It's what they do. So, I mean, you see it with Melanie and Brandon. You see it with Alex and Joe, Alex and Charles. Okay. It's like a obsession. She believed it was about 2 or 3 months later. I asked if any details of the event had been discussed. Debbie said that some details were given. Alex had stated that he had used a taser in the event. Joseph had apparently been making it difficult for Lori to get custody of the children. I think that's wrong. Right. I mean, it's projection, of course, not on Debbie's part. Alex also claimed it was done as punishment for what Joseph had done sexually to the children and that Joseph deserved to die for it. When questioned about the certainty of the SA claim, there was no indication that the children had ever been examined as a part of proof. I asked if Alex had said he was trying to kill Joseph. Debbie took it as more of wanting to hurt Joseph, but did make the comment that Joseph deserved to die. Prior to Alex contacting Debbie, she had never heard about the attack on Joseph. Their last contact before this conversation had been a year prior. Debbie just felt that Alex had decided to stop communicating with her. She learned he had been in jail for the previous year and had no means to contact her. Debbie said that they had been married in 92 and divorced in 93. Debbie did not know the family for Alex before they were married. Debbie saw a lot of crazy family dynamics with the family for Alex. Debbie said these things caused several issues between her and Alex and made her afraid of the family. I asked Debbie to explain. She said there were a lot of inappropriate touching in the family. Debbie focused mostly on the touching that had happened between Alex and freaking Lori. That's nasty. Debbie said they simulated acts. One example was Alex would pick up Lori and she would wrap her legs around his waist. Alex would bounce Lori up and down on himself. Both would then moan and simulate sex. Oh, I just said it. acts. This was done in front of Debbie and the family for Lori and Alex. So sorry. Debbie said there was never any shame noticed with any of this. Debbie said that she had brothers and this behavior never something that would be done or tolerated. My mom said the same thing and I say, I mean, yeah, we all say the same thing. We're like, yeah, me too. # me too. Debbie told me that the mother and father to Alex and Lori would constantly talk about their actual life in front of everybody. It appeared like it was a game for everybody, which is interesting because in the Hamlin documents, oh my God, they do this too. Opposite game, all kinds of stuff. We'll tear into that as soon as Brandon's case is over. I asked if this behavior continued or if it was just one time. Debbie said that it happened every time they were together with his family. Debbie told me that she only lived with Alex for about 4 to 5 months. Debbie said that the family was too weird, and she had made a big mistake by marrying Alex. She decided to end the marriage. High five, girl. Pat yourself on the back. You deserve it. I asked Debbie if they were part of the LDS faith. She confirmed that both of them had been baptized in the religion, but neither were active members. Debbie said that she was baptized and active for only a year of her life. She was never raised in the faith. I asked Debbie how Alex talked about Lori. He was a very protective big brother. He also talked about her as hot and actualized her quite a bit. They lived in the same apartment complex, that's another kind of pattern, for a while, and it seemed like Alex chased after her a lot. I asked if there was any suspicion of more than playfulness. She said she had asked because she had observed She said she had asked because she had observed him touching Lori's breastises. Okay. This was apparently another acceptable thing with her family. Alex felt that Debbie was weird for thinking the behavior was weird. Debbie did not think that Alex was sleeping with Lori, only he had the liberty to touch Lori. Debbie did confront Alex about this, and he never felt there was anything wrong with it. She asked it in a way referring to their own children, and again, Alex saw nothing wrong with it. Girl, run. There were arguments about it after the statement. I bet so. I asked Debbie to help me understand how it was that Alex was a protective big brother to Lori. She said that Lori got married quickly and went off to Las Vegas for the wedding. This happened before Debbie married Alex. Alex would talk about wanting to beat up the husband several times. And she was married. She'd been married 5 times, so every husband. Debbie never saw him take any action and only talk tough. These events happened in Utah. The visits where the inappropriate actions happened. What? Oh, the visits where the inappropriate actions happened were in California at the parents' house. Debbie believed they were biological brother and sister to her knowledge. I asked Debbie if she had ever known Alex to be violent with anyone other than Joseph. Debbie said she was not aware of any other event where he had been violent. I asked if Alex had ever talked about religion or ideology with her. She said that he had. While they were married, Alex had been excommunicated from the LDS church. Over the course of the years, they stayed in touch. Alex got baptized into the LDS church and then excommunicated again. So, that's got to be early on, right? 90s, maybe? Early 90s? Alex was still strongly opinionated in the faith, but was also very actually promiscuous. Alex had told Debbie that he was this way. Alex said he had a problem controlling his actual drive and would find it wherever he could. That's nasty as a dog. This was the way even before they were married. Debbie believed the problem would fix itself when they were married. Debbie stated that she had wanted to move to Utah after they were married, but Alex wanted to stay in Texas. Alex suddenly came home from work one day and told her they were moving. The move happened very quickly. When they arrived in Utah, Debbie learned Alex had slept with a 15-year-old girl. Okay? The father had started to look for Alex to fix the problem. This event did play into the divorce with Debbie, along with the actualization with Lori. Debbie pointed out that Alex never acted that way with either of the other sisters, Stacy and Summer. I asked Debbie if she had been contacted by anyone and given this information so she could be included with the investigation. So, see, she's not clout chasing. Anyways, who would want to even say they were married to Alex, first off? Anyways, Debbie denied that anyone had approached her and nobody had provided this information to her. Debbie said that she had kept a low profile because she did not want to be in the news and did not want her children to know. Debbie said that she had left a tip with the Gilbert PD, the FBI, and Idaho authorities, but never heard from any of them. She then realized the tip should have been left with Chandler, and she reached out to let the department know. I asked Debbie why she had decided to come forward at this point. Debbie said after learning about what happened in December, she started to reach out to the other agencies in January. Debbie struggled with the knowledge that Alex had indicated he wanted to get into a fight with Joseph and kill him in self-defense. This sounded too much like what had happened to Charles, and she could not remain silent. Thank you. So yeah, this was okay. This is after the kids were okay. Debbie said that she had brief contact with Summer via Instagram after the death of Alex. I bet that went well. Contact information was collected from Debbie, and this completed my interview with Debbie. Thank you again, Debbie. Okay. Oh, witnesses. Okay, I'll read this one real quick. This was from 6/17/2020. So, golly, right after the kids. Actually, I've got to read this other stuff. I'll give y'all the link to that. So, what we know about Barry and Janice Cox. Tax protester history. They have a long history of disputes with the U.S. government and the IRS. They were involved in at least 2 lawsuits against the U.S. government / IRS. One lawsuit sought over $400,000 for emotional distress from property and funds taken for bad tax debt in the 1990s and 2000s. As of June 13, 2020, they filed a lawsuit with a rambling 106-page complaint alleging they are not required to pay federal income taxes. Barry Cox was ordered to pay back taxes to the IRS as restitution. Here you go. Wait, I thought I made it. Oh, I put it in the very beginning. It's what I did. Here you go. Here you go. This is just par for the course with them. It's a blurry picture. I can't help it. And of course, oh, Bear. Let's see. Here is a call log from October 1st, 3 p.m. There's the phone number. Queen Creek, Arizona. Incoming call, 97 minutes. Janice Cox's phone records from day she claimed to have spoken to JJ. But it turns out she was on the phone with Origination. She was on the phone with either, I don't know who that number belongs to, but it's either Lori. I want to say it's Lori. Let's see what it says on here. Janice Cox claims she talked to JJ Vallow on 10/1/2019 during interview with Morgan Lowe. These are after alleged phone record. Oh, these are her alleged phone records for that day. So there's that. But it's interesting because that's right in the middle of Brandon Boudreaux's, that's in the middle of the conspiracy. So I realized the other day that whenever I was reading, oh my gosh, around the time that Melanie Boudreaux had flown to Rexburg, September 26th through October, just this whole time frame, okay? And how Summer claimed in the phone where she's crying her eyeballs out with Lori, who's in jail, and the kids' remains had just been found. And she's like, you cut me and mom out for months, 4 months or whatever. And I beg to differ because, I want to say it was the phone call, or I'm sorry, I was talking about, what's his name? Edgar. Yeah. Because Summer also shared a phone call with Lori. Not a phone call. It was a text exchange of Lori and Summer asked Lori about the Tesla incident. Okay. Which is after the Tesla incident, which is after Brandon was shot at. Okay. So I'm like, she's lying because here the kids are dead already. And then here she is talking to her and then talking to her again. Here's October 1st. You got Janice talking to Lori. You've got Summer reaching out to Lori and conversing back and forth with her about a Tesla incident. And Edgar makes it look like an accident. I'm calling bullshit is what I'm doing. Okay. I think they just say things. I really don't think they know what the hell they're saying a lot of the time. So anyways, Hold on just one second. I'm trying not to rush myself because I'm starting to panic. Hold on. Okay. All right. So this is based on the interview transcript. Here's an analysis of Melanie Boudreaux, Pulaski, underlying themes and what she seems to avoid. So, underlying themes in Melanie's message. She's seeking relief and validation regarding Alex Cox's death. A primary theme is her relief and lack of surprise at the autopsy results, confirming her uncle Alex Cox's died of natural causes. She repeatedly emphasizes that they knew it would be natural and expresses a desire for this part of the saga to be over, hoping it will lead to the truth being revealed in other aspects of the case. And then desire to present their truth. Okay. Both Melanie and Ian emphasize their intention to, quote, share what we do know and share the truth, unquote. This suggests a desire to control their narrative and counter what they perceive as misinformation or speculation surrounding their involvement and knowledge of the events. Emphasis on faith and moving forward. Melanie recounts Alex's last words to her, which focused on being loving, supportive, patient, and having faith that everything will work out and she will get her children back. This highlights a personal theme of relying on faith during difficult times. Then, framing herself as a victim of similar patterns. Melanie draws parallels between her mother's experiences, being misrepresented and having her children taken away, and her current custody battle with Brandon Boudreaux. She portrays herself as being unjustly treated, similar to her mother, and criticizes her father's actions in both situations. Portrayal of Lori Vallow as a loving and supportive figure. Despite the ongoing mystery and accusations surrounding Lori Vallow Daybell, Melanie consistently speaks of her aunt with affection and admiration, highlighting Lori's unconditional love, lack of judgment, and support during difficult times, particularly after her mother's death. Emphasis on the speed and divine guidance of her marriage to Ian. Melanie justifies their quick marriage by stating they, quote, both pray about decisions together and we felt that it was right, unquote. This adds a layer of spiritual justification to a seemingly impulsive decision made during a tumultuous period. What Melanie seems to avoid, besides the complete truth as per your prompt, okay, so directly addressing the missing children and Lori and Chad's involvement. The interview excerpt specifically mentions that questions about JJ Vallow, Tylee Ryan, Lori Vallow, and Chad Daybell will be addressed in the second part of the interview, which I did not analyze yet. Therefore, in this part, she avoids giving any substantive information or opinions on the central aspects of the case. This is a significant omission given the context of the interview. Acknowledging any potential wrongdoing or red flags regarding Lori and Chad. Despite the highly suspicious circumstances surrounding the missing children and the deaths of multiple individuals connected to Lori and Chad, Melanie maintains a consistently positive view of her aunt and offers no critical perspective at all or acknowledgement of any potential wrongdoing on their part. I really feel like she's involved big time, not just in Brandon's part, but for real. I don't know. Deeply examining the truth she claims to be revealing. While she uses the word truth repeatedly, the interview focuses more on her personal experiences and feelings rather than providing concrete, verifiable information about the disappearance or deaths. Her statements about Alex's death being natural rely on her prior belief rather than presenting any new evidence. Taking responsibility for potentially problematic beliefs or actions. The upcoming part of the interview is said to address their religious beliefs. I'm going to have to go analyze that soon. In this excerpt, Melanie avoids any discussion that might shed light on any potentially unusual or extreme beliefs that could be relevant to the case or damning. In conclusion, Melanie's message in this part of the interview focuses on seeking closure regarding her uncle's death. presenting her personal narrative of victimhood and faith in maintaining a positive image of Lori Vallow Daybell. She strategically avoids the most sensitive and crucial aspects of the case, particularly those concerning the missing children and the potential involvement of Lori and Chad in any wrongdoing. All right, one more. Okay, I'll find it. I hope y'all are doing okay. I've missed y'all. I've been talking, but you know. Let's see. Feel like I'm hot. I feel like I need to play some elevator music. So we're going to pick up tomorrow with the rest. Like, we're going to hopefully pray, good vibes, whatever, that we see the jury tomorrow, right? I mean, that's what we got to do. Hopefully Hooker is not playing hooky and we can get the show on the road, right? I need to pause too. I feel like I need to just, let it go. We'll talk about it more in the morning, you know. I have it scheduled for 12 o'clock Central, but I don't remember what time. I don't remember what time. So I'm gonna have to go listen to the last hearing from Friday to catch the very end, see what time we're going to start tomorrow. So if it changes on the live stream I already have scheduled for in the morning, that's why, you know, because I just want to be accurate. I just scheduled it while I was right there doing it, and I suck at scheduling. So I just wanted to do it while I was right there. But I do have tomorrow, I'll share with you guys an analysis that I did on some of Summer Shiflet's statements, like after the kids were found. And again, like I said, it's very interesting to the slippery language that is used, and it's very deceitful all in of its own. Okay, in my opinion, I don't know. It's very narcissistic. It's very, I'm a victim. I'm being persecuted. It's like saying nice things, like how when they laugh when they're saying something really awful, and then, but they're being totally narcissistic and vengeful and blaming you and like guilting you, you know, for how dare you, I'm a victim. You know, it's very interesting. So yeah, once you hear Janice, it all makes sense. Right? So I do want to share that. And I just couldn't. It was a lot of reading. So I'm going to pull some more things together. I feel like I have my dad's hair right now. My dad has a mullet. He's always had a mullet. I'm like, Dad. She is. That's perfect. Summer Shiflet is shifty. Some people say shitty. I'm not picking. I'm one of them. Okay. Thank you, Donna. I just noticed that you put that up there. Okay. So yeah, let's just end it for right now. My brain is spinning out and I'm hungry. So that's one thing. Y'all, this is the last eve of trial, allegedly. So once you see Janice, it makes even more sense. Yeah. Oh my gosh. John, I adore you. I really do. We've needed your comedy relief for a very long time. So I'm glad you made it here. We found you and you found us. So I'm just glad you're here. Natalie, we're here. We're right here. Oh, just like anticipation more than anything. I'm trying not to think about all the other things. We'll breach that whenever we'll cross that bridge whenever we get there. So thank you all. I appreciate your time. And thank you for Super Chats members and my mods. Thank you, mods. I love you guys so much. We do need to celebrate. And we need to have a drinking game. We do. Megan. So, yeah, I suck at this. All right. So good night. Justice for Tylee, Charles, Tammy, JJ, and Joe, and Brandon, and his kids. Love always wins. You're proof of that. And going. All right. Thank you, JoJo. Appreciate you. All right. Oh, it's go time tomorrow. I'm not going to sleep. I got to sleep. Bye, y'all.